the meeting to order at 5:35. Um, so the first order of business will be the review and approval of the minutes from January 5th. Were sent in the packet.
Friday's packet, yeah.
Yes, Friday's packet.
I didn't have any comments.
Yep. So if we get a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll make a motion.
Aye.
There's a
Second.
second? Do I have a second to put in the
Second.
minutes?
Thanks, Maria. I'll take it. Can I get a second?
Second. Bruce?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, any comments? Nope. All those in favor of approving the minutes as submitted, say aye.
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 Yep. Opposed? No one. All right, minutes approved as submitted. Thank you, Marie,
You're welcome.
everybody. All right. Next item on the agenda, citizens petitions and comments. So Mark or
I guess I'll open this up to the three attendees
right.
to see if they want to say anything.
Okay. That's scary. So now we have Lori O'Connell, we have Cindy Lathrop, and we have
Jim,
Jim McMahon.
Yeah.
Jim,
At this point, I do not have any questions.
Okay.
Do you want me to remute myself?
Yes,
Please.
please.
Okay. I gotta figure out how to do that. Hang on.
Cindy, any comments? Okay. Jim? Okay. So I think, Mark, they're basically just listening in.
Yep, okay. Perfect.
Perfect. All right. Did you receive any other correspondence in the last couple of weeks that we need to bring up here?
Yeah, not to me, no.
Okay, perfect. I do want, because I missed it in the January meeting, I do want to acknowledge the passing of Duncan Olding. He's a former Golf Advisory Board member who passed at I believe at the end of December, passed away. He had been a member of the Golf Advisory Board for many years. I believe I overlapped with him for at least a year. So I do want to acknowledge him and his time spent on the Golf Advisory Board and his commitment to this organization, and his time spent golfing, and certainly my time following him on the golf course and the group that he played with provided a fair amount of comic relief while playing. So I do want to acknowledge him in particular, um, and his commitment to the Golf Advisory Board and to Shinnecock Golf Course. And I was remiss in not doing that in January, and I apologize. And Mark, I don't know if you overlapped with him or not. I think he was,
Yeah, I think like my first year here, he was
yeah.
on because I do remember that name.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, he was a wonderful gentleman.
Yes, he was. And it was a pleasure to play behind them on a fairly regular basis. All right, on the weekends. All right, new correspondence communications, next agenda item. Any reports from typically here, the men's or women's club or both?
Sure, I have a report.
Sure.
So, from the SWGA League, we're currently coordinating league and tournament dates with the men's league. So I appreciate the collaboration and information sharing with Corey and his role as president, which has really been um, very nice having those discussions and coordinating with our tournament chairs in scheduling those calendars. So getting our calendars together in coordination, and also just sharing of some rules and different information. So that's been a pleasure. Thank you, Corey.
Absolutely,
Um,
yeah. No, yeah, and just while we're here, Todd, I'm sure that we'll probably be bringing you the dates for especially collaborative events such as like, the Scotch Foursome or the Club C. I expect those to be approximately the same dates as in the past. So,
Okay,
for our
once you
first,
get the schedule together, then just give us, give me the dates, and we'll put them in the book.
perfect.
perfect. Thank you, Todd. Our first executive board meeting will going to take place next week, and that marks the start of our review of our handbook, our rules guide. The executive board serves as our organization's primary decision-making body. So the officers have been busy gathering feedback, and we certainly are one of the agenda items, on our our meeting will be certainly the opening day and closing day events, particularly in light of the weekend tea time changes from 12 to 3. And lastly, we're always looking at membership retention and recruitment. That also always remains a strategic priority as we want to sustain and grow our organization, so that we're an active women's league in the Eastern Connecticut. So certainly reviewing our rates today for both residents and non-residents is very important to ensure that our prices remain competitive with our surrounding golf courses, while certainly continuing to deliver strong value for our members. So just wanted to put that out there as well. That's all I have.
Thank
I'll
you.
hand it over to you, Corey. Oh, any questions? Any questions?
None from me. Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Madeline. As far as the men's club goes, we are finalizing our tournament schedule next week. I believe that we are meeting, I think it's the 9th that we'll be meeting, and we'll be getting firm dates on every event that we want to have scheduled. There's going to be some changes on a couple of the major ones, but the big ones as far as like President's Cup, Club C, we don't expect to see any changes there. We're working with the Women's Club to make sure that we can stack everything as it's been in the past so that the Women's Club Championship goes off at the same time as the Men's Club Championship. I think that's really good for promoting the golf course, trying to get as many people out there supporting the events as possible. Aside from that, don't really have a whole lot to add right now. But in the next meeting, I'm sure we'll have plenty of information to give to everybody. So if anybody wants any updates or questions or anything, just feel free to ask.
So I have a general question. Do we have a calendar on the website that maps out some of these events?
For the Women's League, we in our handbook we include our calendar. So as soon as it is, we're going to have a first review next week, looking at the handbook, and then then the board will put a vote to adopting the handbook in March. So after that, I will be sending it Mark Berry's way to post on our website. So our bylaws are already there, and our 2026 handbook will be there as well.
But Usha, is that maybe a good suggestion to post a general calendar for
Right,
all of the events?
right. Because I think it would help members to, one, see all that activity that's going on. And two, if they want to participate, they have a way to reach out and consider joining men's club or women's club. So, or some of the events that are mixed events, again, that provides a forum for people. Equally, people who may be planning to play may realize that there's a tournament they don't plan to play then. So I think a bit of transparency like that would be helpful.
I agree.
I think it's a great idea.
Like Friday charity events and other events
Yeah,
that are
charity events.
when
Yeah,
yeah,
it
when
helps
the
bring
golf
more
course is
people
blocked
in.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, or to let people know when the golf course is blocked off.
Mm.
And play.
I think the town might be able to help with that. I know for the library,
Well,
there's a calendar that is, month by month, day by day with, you can click on the date and it expands out to explain what the
we
event
post
is.
we post on the website. Once the schedule is set for all the tournaments, I compile that list, and that list is posted on the website every year.
But I think maintaining a true calendar so that you can go, which is a simple plug-in app on any website, I think would be a useful addition to the websites that are coming along so that people can have a quick calendar view of the world to see what's coming on and kind of see what dates, mornings, afternoons are blocked off with what events could be very useful.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea.
I think the current software that we have does that, but as everybody knows, we're migrating away from that current software. But I would think that would be kind of a standard function
It is.
of whatever software.
Mhm.
I think it's a terrific suggestion, and I'm sure we can build that in once we have the new software.
Yes. Yep, no, I think having it all in one place, I think will be very, very nice. Thank you. Great suggestion. All right. Any other correspondence or communications? All right. Next agenda item, golf course report. So it looks like we've got the December and January revenue reports.
Yes. For whatever reason, I have no idea. When I printed out all of these documents, I didn't print out the January, but I think the January total was like 16,3 something, I think. But you all can take a look at those totals, and if you have any questions, like, I hope to help you with it.
Yeah, it looks like despite the cold and snowy weather in January, we're still tracking ahead of last year. which is good news.
Yeah.
Those die-hard players, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played
And then
yesterday. It was between that and going to the beach. It was great. It was fantastic.
Isn't there snow on the ground or there's no snow?
He's joking.
Yes, there's.
Usha, that's a foot and a half of snow.
I haven't been over there, so I just didn't know.
With
I thought
drifts.
maybe there isn't any.
Just
Yeah.
put little snowshoes on the golf ball. They land right on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not many rounds, and then we can start calculating calendar year to date statistics again, right? Because I know in the past we've gotten both the fiscal year as well as the calendar year starting in January.
Yeah, this would be a great time to start that, given
Yes.
it's the
It's
first month of the
January.
calendar year. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, no.
Just a question. If there isn't snow on the golf course, do people, will you have a good number of people? I guess it looks like you do have a good number of people play, regardless of the weather, as long as it doesn't have snow. Am I reading that correct?
That's correct.
People just bundle up and off they go. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, if the temperature is north of 40, we'll be busy. And if it's better than that, then we'll be on the weekend, we'll be as busy as any July day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And if it's north of 20, you'll still get a dozen or so people out there.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
have crazy people here at our golf course.
Yeah. For some odd reason.
So, Todd, the January is not there. It was not in the package, was it?
I have it.
Oh,
I don't have it. I
so
had December.
Oh, I have it in the second pack.
I think it was the first.
Well, I
Well,
prepared that report this morning, so
yeah, it was in the
Second.
packet that went out
Okay.
this morning.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. I didn't
Yeah,
go
along
through
with
that.
the scenarios that you had created,
Yep.
and
Oh, yes.
Marie had put together another bit of information. So
Yes. Now I remember seeing it. Yes. Thank
yeah,
you.
Yeah, sorry, I merged both packages for myself.
yeah, the staff person that was merging and bundling the entire agenda, she resigned, um, and so now it's fallen back on me, and I have to learn how to bundle the entire agenda package into one document. So um, hopefully by next month I'll have learned how to do it. Otherwise, you'll continue to get all of these attachments.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
it's pretty easy, Mark.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I know who to call.
You can call me. I can tell you how to do it.
Okay.
It is fairly straightforward.
All right.
Okay. So, excellent. All right. So yeah, no, clearly with January snowfall, and I have a feeling February we're not going to see green grass for a bit because the temperature is going to remain fairly close to freezing for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. All right. Any questions? Any other questions on the golf course reports? If not, then off to the marketing report. Do we have?
Yeah, so our community outreach coordinator puts this together
Yeah.
in preparation of every meeting, and I was going to have her attend tonight just so that she could kind of go through this, but given what I expect could be a robust discussion about the rates, I figured I wouldn't bring her in and hold the meeting up any longer.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
probably, well, the special meeting, I don't think I'll ask her to come. So the meeting after that would be in March? No, April.
April.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll invite her to the next meeting, so the April meeting, so that she can kind of go over everything and see if it all makes sense to everybody, and listen if somebody has suggestions on how else they'd like to see this information presented.
Okay. Thank you. That makes sense. All right. So on to the meat of this meeting, which is the unfinished business and the rate discussion. And we need to basically come out of the meeting today with kind of where we're headed with the rates. And not only that, some decisions around the cap on the number of season pass holders that we're going to put into place. And in particular, what we're going to do with new non-resident season pass holders. We need to discuss the tournament rates again, determine the weekend start dates for the limited um, season pass holders. Um, and then the booking times for season pass holders versus greens fee holders. And I think a lot of it's going to kind of depend on what numbers we choose. They're kind of going to be dependent discussions as we kind of start walking through this. So I think the first is kind of looking at the rates. And I understand that, Usha, thank you very much for pulling some of your data together. Maria, I understand you've now pulled some data together. So I think maybe we start with Usha and what you've pulled together, the kind of where we are with the current rates. Um, Norwich has published their rates. I believe Elmridge or Pequot have published their rates for 2026. So we could take a look at those. And then some of the scenarios for what we could do here. And this might kind of best inform what we want to do for 2026. So Usha, I'm going to let you kind of talk through what you've done in your analysis. Marie can kind of fill in some gaps with what you've done, and then we'll take the conversation from there on to the numbers, and then finally some of these other finer points. That makes sense?
Yeah, I'm happy to. I did some modeling work, but I just want to give a very high level how I was thinking about it, and I'm not going to go into the details. You all have the information. But there was one slide that I didn't remember to put in, so I want to walk through that. So the way I was thinking about this was, let's understand, and I focused on season pass holders. Let's
Yeah.
understand which season pass category is the largest category of passes sold. Because any change we make to that category is most likely going to have a positive or a negative impact on us, right? So that was the thinking on that. And then the second piece, thanks to Todd and Mark for all of the data that I received, just looking at where we were in 2024 versus where we are in 2025. And we are lower in terms of the total number of passes sold. So that's also impacting our revenue generation, right? So we do need to think about opening it up to other people to come in. But when we think about that, which category do we want to open up that to? Because if we open it to low revenue generating passes, then that's only going to increase our total number of passes without increasing our revenue. So I think we as a group need to kind of think that through. So that's just giving you my big picture how I thought about this. But let me share one of the things that happened last time we met when I showed per round cost. Are you all able to see this?
Yes.
Yes.
It looks complicated, but it really isn't. This is the 2024-2025 data. And if you recall, when we did it last time, it said that we were $5, and Corey was very upset about it, rightfully so. So in any case, so if we just focus on season pass holders only, and that's from January, and I did it, January through December, but this really is July 24 to June 25. What we see is this was our total revenue. But the point that I wanted to raise was when you look at April, just the month of, let's look at April and May, you start to see that's where most of the revenue was generated for the season pass holders. And when you get to June, there's nothing. July, there's a little bit. So when we look at the total passes that are there, April and May went into the 24-25, but the members are playing right now. So next year, when we get to April and May, that's when we'll start to see. So January, there is some. February, there was nothing. March, nothing. But April, May, June, nothing. And then we have few coming in every now and then. So July, there was a little bit. So this just gives you, for just the season pass holders, you can slice this data however you want to look at. If you wanted to look across the board for all of them, we have all that. The other thing that I kind of looked at this to see, when we look at revenue, greens fee, and we've seen this with the data that Todd and Mark share every month. Greens fee contributes 54%, whereas season pass is about 29%. And kind of keep this in the back of your mind, because when we look at the utility and how many rounds people are using, you look to see that season pass holders are at about 32% utilization. But cart greens, let me see, greens would be all of these have to be included in that. So you start to see that, the greens fees contribution, as well as the number of rounds, you're looking at about 41%. So 41%, but 54% of the revenue, and 29% of the revenue with about 32% use of it. So I'll pause for a minute. Any questions on this?
So, Ms. Bruce, so I have a question. Can you just explain to me why it drops the revenue drops so great in June, July? Is it just too hot, or is it what? Or are there tournaments, or what? Why does it drop so much?
So
Or am I
the
not
passes are typically, because most of the play starts in April, the passes are typically purchased in April and May. So you've purchased your passes and now you're going to play the rest of the year.
And I also think what may have happened in 24, and Todd, please chime in, because we had put a pause on all of the passes until the new rate was put in place. We didn't have anyone taking pass in the February, March timeframe, but April, a lot of those people that usually would have taken in January, February, March came in and paid in April, and then
Usha,
April, May were busy. But
that was 2025, Usha.
This data is 24 leading into 25. This was last year, right? So last year was when we did not sign up people until April.
Yeah, but that was 2025. April 2025 is when,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So
But
this
yeah,
data, this
yeah,
data goes from July
Well,
2024 to June of 2025.
correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
typically people don't think about playing in February, March, or even beginning April. I mean, up here, April is pretty much a crappy month. So people, people, they start buying uh, season passes in April, May, beginning June. Something that helps us is the fact that we have a 12-month. If a person purchases uh, pass in July 1, they have until the next July 1. So that has helped quite a bit. But
Yeah.
but the discussion, I think, has to go to allowing non residents to join. I think our total is like 358 or something like that right
Yeah, we'll
now.
get to that. We'll get to that.
400. What's that?
We will get
What's
to that
that?
conversation here in a little bit.
Yeah. So, but germane to the conversation, I'm just saying that the conversation really needs to go there.
Yeah, agreed, Todd. So I'll get to that point in just a minute. So this is just to show how we last time when we looked at the numbers, because the payments happened mostly in April and May timeframe. Next year for our year for the golf course, July through June of 2026, we'll see most of the revenue coming in April and May. So that was the reason for showing this, to just clarify that that's why. And that gives us, based on for 2024 into 2025, so July 24 to June 25, we're looking at $27 per round on average for the season pass holders. So that was the cost. And again, this is across the board, so it's not individual type of season pass holders. So let me now switch gear.
So if I understand it right, so this is the revenue generated from selling seasons pass, which nobody's buying them in June or July because they've already bought them. That's what's
Right.
going on. Okay.
Correct. Because
Okay.
it's a
Yeah,
That makes
year,
sense.
it's an annual.
So they buy them then and then they're good for the year, but nobody once they're done, they're pretty much people aren't coming in later to
No,
buy them because they've
exactly.
already done it. Okay. And
Exactly.
it's
Yeah,
$447,000 that they had bought.
right, right.
Okay.
yeah, and
Okay.
the new rates were set around the beginning of, I wanted to say beginning of April, so we were kind of on pause, because I probably would have renewed in February, but I was on pause until the new rates were set
Yep.
in April. So everybody that came on board in April and May paid those higher rates,
Got it.
Yeah, and
the new rates that were set like last year.
that's why April was such a big number to almost 260, and May was 78. So between April and May, most of the passes were sold.
Got it.
Season passes were sold for the year.
To your point, Madeline, I think I was in the same situation. I remember that being the same case, and there was a lot of discussion amongst the season pass holders, or I'll say membership only as a placeholder term, just because it sticks more in my mind. But yes, that was the discussion, was that because the rates were finalized later, that is when people started to join. So
Looking at our revenue right now, it would be lower because we did not include the revenues from April and May, understandably, for the current calendar year. So when we get to April and May, that number should shift up, but we're really loaded in April and May at this point. I did a similar thing for 25 July 25 to June 2026. I don't have all of the data, so I'm not going to go there. I know I heard, Murray, you had put some competition information there. What I did do, and I just want to highlight a couple of things because we will be talking about Norwich as a comparator. So when you look at the 18-hole greens fee for Norwich compared to ours, now these rates were that I have in here were the 2025 rates, and I saw what Mark sent, and they seem to be the same as 2025 for 2026. They don't do Monday through Friday, they do Monday through Thursday, these rates. This kind of shows you, so let me just go up and make sure Norwich is the last column, how our rate compares to Norwich's rates. And here in the, so this is greens fee as well as membership fee. The unlimited adult membership fee, we are at $43 lower. And
No, no,
I did make an adjustment, and this is why I wanted to show you this, is that they offer for unlimited membership, they offer 3 guest passes that can be used anytime. CSG handicap service. For the family membership, there's 5 guest passes. And the limited adult, there's 2 guest passes. So that's an added value that I subtracted to say, okay, so then what is the actual membership rate? So that's where I have a different, probably a different math coming out than if you just look at their actual membership rate because of these additional benefits, 3 guest passes, 5 guest passes, or 2 guest passes. And then the last thing, the biggest area of difference for us was the junior associate membership, where we are $338 lower than them. So, and same thing with the youth, we are about $220 lower. So this is just information, and I should have put this in. I forgot to do it, but happy to do that. Share that with you all later. So I did this comparison between Pequot, Elmridge, and Norwich, and I didn't really seriously consider Pequot, and then Elmridge. The greens fees are probably a better comparator. The passes are not necessarily. The other observation is that we do have a lot more categories than any of the other local courses. So we have, these are some of the extra ones that they do not have. And we have resident, non-resident rate for most of the things. Norwich does not have it except in case of greens fee. Any questions or? Okay.
Question I have is, which golf course do you see that we compare to the most? Is it Norwich? Is the one that we're, if you said the one that's most like us, or the one that you look to say, what are they doing? What are we doing? Which course was that?
That would probably be Norwich because they are a municipal, sort of a municipal, independent, aligned course like us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's why
and then
I don't.
and then the other comment about Norwich is that they operate, I think it's 8 months a year. They don't operate 12 months a year like Shenny does. So their numbers are for 8 months of golf a year.
Yeah.
They shut down from November through, I think, March. So that's the other thing, Usha, you have to take into consideration.
That's true. I did not take that into consideration. So that needs to be taken into consideration. Agree.
Just want to say also, Usha, and I know this personally, that the $10 voucher that's available for greens fees players at Norwich Monday through Thursday, that's also on their current rates, and that is a big draw. So if you take, assuming that the player is going to put $10 of what they pay the course and get a voucher for lunch, And I know we can't do that with our par four, but that does give a value, a real value to, and brings that cost of golf essentially down by $10
Yeah.
around on Mondays through Thursdays. It's a very strong attraction. I know that personally.
Yeah, and I think, Marie, for me, it was more about people like something free. They don't care if they end up paying a lot more ultimately, but they love the idea of getting something free. So if there's something we could do that entices people to come. The other piece that I just want to mention here is that they have something called a limited play category as a pass, and it was $20 unlimited play. I mean, not 20 unlimited anytime plays, 20 play, 20, 22
Yeah.
times. Can't get my words out, but it's you can play anytime. So that ends up being about $55 per round for the price that they do. So that's another category that some people may not want a season pass, but want to have certain number of plays. So even as I said, we have too many categories. Just want to highlight that that's another way that they look at. And let me pause and go to my
Is there
other.
a reason we couldn't offer a coupon to par four for lunch?
It is a separate business,
Does
private business.
just par four have any kind of coupon system? I mean, that you could.
No, in the past, it's been very complicated when town monies are transferred to a separate business. And so that idea has been brought up several times in the past. And that's the reason why finance has said no.
Yeah, and Bruce, we have tried to work out specials with par four, and it's been a real challenge. We've tried to do something for Cinco de Mayo, and they really, the discount that we would have expected, we didn't really see in the package that they were offering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. We were coming off our price quite a bit, and we were looking to have them come off their price by a significant amount. And they just didn't do it.
Is there a way to, I'm trying to learn and just kind of get my thing, but is there a way to keep it in-house? Like, you offer a coupon that goes against a cart. So it doesn't really leave the golf course. It's just an incentive that you put it on something else that you're offering. So you have cart rentals, I don't know, there's an extra person gets to play for free, something where you haven't left the universe of the golf course, but it's an incentive to the person playing, but it doesn't really harm you because you're getting an extra person somewhere. I'm just thinking that, look at all the elements that you have and what can you sort of swap back and forth that you can sort of give one part away that doesn't hurt the other part. So.
No, we're very sensitive to the level of play that we have, and we offer spring specials and we offer other specials, and of course late fall we offer specials, and right now we have winter specials. And of course we're under snow, but I mean, but we're sensitive. We're sensitive to the level of play. And Mark, Eric, and I, we talk about this every week. How is play? What's the level of play? Should we offer something to get more people in the carts and more people on the course? And so we do this all the time. So yes, we're very sensitive to it, is my point.
Okay. And by level, when you say level of play, does that mean how many people are on the course? Is that what you mean by that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If we're not uh, maximizing the golf course, and we see a need, like there was not so much in the last few years because of COVID, but after 3 o'clock, we would hardly get anybody, and so except for our league play. So we would target specials for that time of the day, and we would bring people in. And so, yeah, I mean, whatever the price needed to be to get the people in, we would do, because, you know, 50 times 30 is better than 0 times 0.
Right, right.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's good. I mean, I'm just learning. That's really what I'm doing. So,
No problem.
thank you, Todd.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
We work that way all the time.
And maybe, I don't know, Todd, if it's possible to do a X amount of dollars off of merchandise, and maybe we do some Shinnecock hats, or that people would want to buy, and especially if we have visitors. So, but let me come back to this analysis a little bit more. So this is various categories. R stands for resident, unlimited, and R stands for non-resident. Some of those I had to play with that. So this is the current price projection, and this is really copying 2024 and saying, if we have the same year as 2024, what would it look like, right? But then I did a projection of 5% increase across the board for all season passes. And that doesn't really move the needle much. It goes from 525 to 551. Now, keep in mind that this is saying we would get to, this is the new rate, 2025 rate, not the 2024 rate, but proportionally the same number of season pass holders. But if we went to a 10%, yeah, it goes to about 577. And I just did this as an exercise. This is, instead of increasing the price, if we increase the sales, where would we be? And it should be the same as increasing price, because the numbers should not change, because it's proportionally applied across. What about if we did a 5% increase in price as well as in sales? Then we are starting to see, we're going up 579. And or this was the one where I did a 3% price increase with a 10% sales increase, getting closer to 600,000. Now, this, I assumed it was each season pass was a split at 60-40, because we have different rates for residents and non-residents. And thank you, Todd, you said it's generally a 60-40 split. So I just assumed that across for all types at this point. If we have data, I can actually model that better. So 60-40, assuming that this is sort of making some projections. So then, now when you look at this, I want to walk through this just to be sure we are, I'm not misunderstanding anything. We have more season pass categories than other local courses. This data does not include a Ranger season pass. And I noticed that we have a Ranger season pass category, but I didn't see any of the data on it. I'm assuming that that gets rolled into one of the other ones. Are there categories that could be merged into others or eliminated because of the number of categories that we have? So that's a question for the group. The data right now suggests that there are two major categories: the adult unlimited and the senior military. Those are the two big buckets that we have. where most of the people are. So you can see that 61 and 41, that's adult unlimited, resident, non-resident. And then you have the senior 79, 52, that's resident, non-resident. So those are the two big buckets. But then the other big one is this one, 30, 20, that's youth, resident, non-resident. We have 50 membership there. Rest of them are sort of marginal. So you're looking at 16, 19, 20. So it's not a huge number. So these are the three categories. The youth numbers are small, as in the dollars are small. Adult unlimited is reasonably big number. And then the senior military is also about 1240, 1430. Increase in price and or number of passes sold in these three categories is likely to have most impact on total revenue. So why I kind of put this out there was to say, if we try to increase some of the other areas, we might end up losing people that may not actually help us. Or it might not actually move the needle much anyway. So just to kind of think about that as we continue. So this is the base price from our current 2025. And then the passes are here split 60-40. So that generates, if by the end of the year, this is what we should have calendar year or our season year, 525. That's the projection. Now, if we increase the units by 20%, that gets us from 358 to 419. But what I did was not increase it in these categories because I didn't see a huge numbers there. I had the same feeling here for the associate. The numbers are small, so I didn't change those numbers. I forgot to highlight this. But I changed the rest of the places where there is likely to be an impact. So the 419 comes from the adult, the unlimited and limited, as well as the senior and the youth. That's where that comes from. The family numbers and the associate numbers were too small to try to maneuver that. But we can, of course, make those projections. So that then suddenly moves up, and the rate is the same. I kept the rate the same as 2025 for this projection. And that brings us to about 608. The next
Do
one,
you have a maximum number of seasons passes you can handle?
I think, Todd, was it 400 that we said we want to cap it at 400? We lost Todd. Anyone from the Mark?
Yeah,
Do you remember?
400 was our target.
Target. Okay.
And we hit 400 a couple of years ago, and it kept climbing and climbing. And at one point, I think we got to over 500.
Yeah.
But
There's
yeah. So the 419 number is kind of what we had talked about last year, I think, as a target. But we didn't hit that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a tipping point there where right around there where
Yeah.
you get a balance of people being able to get time on the golf course versus not getting time on the golf course.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, I mean, I don't run a golf course, I don't know, but I feel 419 is a doable number.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And with the same number, now, what if we increase the price 5%? Again, same caveat, held these prices as is, raised the rest of them. And part of my thinking was based on the Norwich, which I didn't realize the 8-month piece of it. So we can adjust this based on that. So if we did that, we're going up to 638 with that. And then if now we did the price adjustment um, anchored the price. So this is one of the things that I spent a little time looking through this to see how we had different categories priced. And so I used the unlimited non-resident adult as the anchor price.
Right.
So if we increase that, that is the anchor price, and everything else goes up or down based on that anchor price. And if we increase that by 5%, the discount rates are listed here, right? So we go 5% discount for the residents, 40% discount for unlimited resident associate, et cetera, et cetera. Again, with my thinking about the rate being comparable to Norwich for the family, I didn't change it, but we can adjust this if this sort of makes sense. But you can see how the new rates come in. Now, the biggest change, perhaps, and here's the dollar difference from the current rate to what this would entail. That does take us to 675 if we have 419. But there are some categories that would have a significant rate increase. But again, this is from modeling perspective, it's not that we have to do it this way, but it just gives a perspective on which are the buckets that's going to make the most impact in generating the revenue. And the percent discount from the anchor, which is the unlimited non-resident adult being the anchor. So let me go to this slide, which is same as the previous one, just to not have to look at all of that gory detail, but we can adjust things. I can make this happen on an Excel sheet very quickly if there's specific ideas or concepts we want to consider. So this is the number of passes. This is the 25 pricing. This is across the board 5% increase. And this is the option 2 that I just talked about, using the unlimited non-resident adult as the anchor, and then giving discounts from there for the rest of them. I will pause.
So you said you said you're using the unlimited non-resident as the anchor.
Adult as the anchor, yeah. So,
Yeah,
but with
that's the largest, that would be the largest season pass rate.
Right.
individual season pass rate, right? So that's an individual, because this is our highest season pass,
The family.
the
No,
family.
no, no. We would go off the individual, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I use the individual highest. And then if we did a 5%, again, this could be a 2% increase, right? I just use 5 as a placeholder for us to have a conversation. So if we increase that by 5% and then give the resident a 5% discount, associate resident 40% discount, associate non-resident a 35% discount. We can change these now that we know Norwich is only 8 months, so we can decide what percent discount to do there. A limited resident gets a 15% discount. Limited non-resident gets a 12. Senior gets a 25, resident. Non-resident 20. Youth gets a 75% discount for resident, 70 if they're non-resident.
Right. So I guess, and I think I'm understanding this. If we didn't hit that number of additional unrestricted non-resident adults, it could be disastrous for us if we're discounting all of these other categories.
Well, we're discounting them now.
We are discounting it even more now. These are lower discounts than current discounts.
So I'm
Lucia?
just a little confused on the
Yeah.
definition of what is an anchor price. So
Yeah.
is it, can you just,
Anchor,
So yeah, let me help. So
Yeah.
it's your base price, right? So
okay,
here's our base season pass price. It's going to be for the non-resident adult, unlimited play on the golf course.
okay,
That's going to be the 2079. That's our base season pass rate. And then from there, we're going to say if you're a resident, you're going to get a 5% discount off of our base
okay.
season pass
And
rate.
that's the 1881. That's
That's
5%.
the
Up.
1881,
Oh,
right?
I
Okay.
see.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you're under, I forget the
Uh,
21
yeah.
or 24, whatever the age is, we're going to give you a 40% discount off of our base season pass rate. But that 2079 is our base season pass rate for 2026.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So really
using that,
yeah,
we
that's
would,
the important number there is that 2079.
That was helpful. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
So,
where did you come up with the 40, the 35, the 15, the 12? Where'd you come up with those?
well, so if you look at the current pricing, right?
Okay. Yep.
This is 1240, and I don't actually have the numbers, remember how much discount this is, but you can do the math and
Sure.
see from 1980, this is a substantial discount. It's more than 25. I think it's like 28% discounted. And
Ah,
this one is close to 80 plus percent discounted.
okay.
I
Mhm.
just I just said, okay, 370 compared to Norwich, this is a much, much lower number. But again, we got to consider the fact that they are only 8 months, and I did not know that, so I didn't consider that. So how do we come a little closer to that number than not, right? So those were some of the reasons. So I said, okay, if we do a 75 discount from this base price,
Hmm.
we give the youth a 75% discount. I
For
mean,
their
that number
season
could
pass.
be 80. I just picked numbers to look
Mhm.
at where we were
Okay.
to what might be a good suggestion.
I see.
Yeah. So I'm not tied to any of these numbers. I just wanted us to have a place to start the
Conversation.
conversation.
Sure. Sure.
I can just say a couple things. I appreciate everything you've done, Lucia, because it gives us a different way to think about it. And I see in some of my numbers where we overcharged. And I see on your list that overcharging didn't really help. And in some categories, if I'm correct, and we need to bring those down. Something I do want to just bring to everyone's attention was in our March minutes that we approved last month, March 2025, when the town council gave us what I believe, and Mark helped me if I'm wrong, but I believe they gave us some permanent guidance of increasing rates. And they said for Groton residents, keep within a 5 to 7% increase if you're going to increase. And then they set the non-residents rate to a value of 15 to 17% higher than what the Groton resident rate would be in the categories. So I do have a concern when, if I'm looking correctly, the Groton resident family rate would have no change.
Yeah, and this was
And I
based
think that we have to be we have to be true to what the council wants, because ultimately they're going to make that approval. That we do have to recognize that that the council gave us guidance last year as to what they will accept.
yeah.
can I just, Bruce, can you weigh in on this? Because you were
I,
at that meeting, but I know you probably go to 1,000 meetings a year.
I was just going to say,
Um,
repeat those numbers. I do remember doing that, and I do remember giving those guidance. I
Okay,
just,
we had in our GAB minutes
yeah.
that the town council gave guidance of a 5 to 7 if we were going to have an increase for
Mm-hmm.
course rates. And it wasn't by categories, it was generally
It's
course
across
rates.
the board, right?
Course rate.
Yeah.
A 5 to 7% increase or cap for Groton residents. And then whatever that number is, say that non-residents rate would have a value of 15 to 17% higher than the resident rate.
Right. But the world changes.
So in reality, what that could be is if you did a 5% resident and 15, you're really like a 20%
Right,
non-resident.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, I'll talk about my um,
I remember that. I mean, I know we did that. But this is a new day.
Yeah,
It's a
and I
new
I'm not.
think
day. It's a new
we
world.
have to
And
we have to balance it with competition in the area,
Right.
because the
Mhm.
concern I would have is if
Yeah.
we increase the rates, and I'm using 60/40, and I know that's what Todd said, but I don't know in individual categories if it's 60/40 or if it's 30/70, right? 70% non-residents. We don't know. Without knowing that, I have just used 60/40 at this point. We don't want to run the risk of losing members.
Mhm.
well, and
Exactly.
don't
I agree.
forget, and I'm just going to point this out just because Eric and the company are not here. It's not just competition with the courses in the area. We also have to look at the year-over-year expenses and the cost to run the golf course
Yeah,
because we have to be able to pay the bills.
yeah,
So, and it's very important that we don't lose sight of that.
agree.
And
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Eric's here.
Margaret, that's a really good segue. So Friday,
Yep.
Eric and I had to present our budget to the town manager. Now, what makes this really tricky is there's uh, two categories that we don't even have the amounts for, and one of that's health insurance.
Right.
And so I can tell you right now that our proposed budget, and this is without health insurance and retirement, and last year health insurance was over $200,000. We're at 1,903,000.
Okay.
So our budget this year is going to be over $2 million. Um, the budget last year was 1,994,000. So, we have
It's a 10%
to your
increase.
point, make sure that we cover our expenses, our operating expenses. And, ideally, we would be putting money into fund balance because, the work that we've got planned for this year is coming out of fund balance. And, that this year it's $210,000. And our fund balance for the golf course, the available funds, I think that was in the Friday report, is 400 and 400 and something thousand. So if we keep chipping away $210,000 at a time, uh, real simple math, it isn't going to take very long for us to no longer have a fund balance.
2 years.
And we're looking, well, everybody knows we're looking on the horizon, and Eric's getting updated numbers, but for the irrigation system, and that's going to be north of $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
I think Todd made the point earlier that we need to open up the membership to non-residents. That's
Oh,
essential. We need to do that ASAP.
So important thing, we are open to non-residents now. What we didn't do last year because the number had gotten above that 500 number, in order to start bringing that number back down to that reasonable number of season pass holders, was allow for new non-residents to join in order to bring that number down and get to that appropriate balance, that tipping point. And now that we're below that number, we can start to open it back up. But we have to be able to have that check and balance to make sure that we don't go above back towards that over 500 number again, where we kind of lose that ability to get the greens fee number because, as you pointed out earlier, Usha, the majority of the revenue comes from greens fees, and what we don't want to do is reduce the revenue from greens fees because most of the golfing tee times are being taken up by season pass holders.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of the careful balance that we have to pay attention to here.
Yeah, and I also think that we should not open up all categories. I would suggest we open up the adult unlimited category, um, senior category. It's a little lower revenue generator,
Yeah.
and we should not open up youth. As much as I'd love to get more youth come and play, at 50 seems like a good number. Otherwise, if we end up even 30% of youth becoming the members for the extra, that's
Mhm.
going to really hurt us.
Mhm.
Todd, can I just ask, how frequent do the youth play?
Most of the time, our youth members, they come out after most of our youth members, season pass holders, are college people. So they come out at 5 o'clock. It's like a gaggle of a bunch of kids that come out after 5 o'clock. It really, for me, it's not an issue.
So perhaps
It's
what we
not.
want to do is or consider doing is take that youth group and the little sidebar with them. They're really not influencing adults from being able to play at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning or the more
No, they're
prime time
not.
tea
No,
times.
they're not.
Then
So
then
They're not.
we have to ask the question, if we cap it. So let's say, we get 20 or 30 more of youth joining. Are we now increasing the number? Because to meet the revenue numbers, if we cap at 400, Lori, can you go
Well,
on
from
mute?
last year, we lost 50 youths. 50, because the kids graduated, and we'll get them back. There'll be new youth season pass holders, and these are great kids. And my opinion, I think that the price of the season pass should be the regulator of how many you have. I don't like the idea of saying, okay, we're going to say only so many of this category, only so member, such number of this season pass. My opinion, but I do think, as Usha said, as I had said too, that we should open up the membership, open it up. We're at what, 400 and 358. The discussion here was talking about tipping point. In my opinion, tipping point is 400.
No, we're all saying the same thing.
If the membership, what's that?
We're saying the same thing.
Yeah, we've already
Yeah,
kind of
Already
gone.
had that while you were
Yeah,
away. We're there.
yeah, I know I got knocked out. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So we're
Yeah.
all
Okay.
there. We're on the same page.
but
So
could we have
Okay.
450 if 50 of those are youth?
exactly. That's
And
my,
will that
right.
will that really affect those goals that we have to, have more, I'm going to say, adults paying prime time play? Todd, what do you feel that we could have almost, youth as a little, like I said, a little sidebar of memberships and not have them count into that 400 number?
Well, I mean,
if I could, sorry, Todd, if I could offer some insight.
Yeah.
I teach about 20 of the junior members that we have at Shinnecock right now. Maybe it's slightly less than that. And I can just tell you based on my interaction with my students, we maintain a very consistent dialogue. They are almost always playing between 4 or 5 o'clock hour because they're getting out of school, or they need their parents to drop them off after work in the summer. So as far as that demographic, I can, at least for the the amount that is attributable to the people I teach, they are almost exclusively playing at 4 to 5 o'clock, and I maintain a very consistent dialogue with them. That's when I'm hearing that they're playing. And as someone who grew up on that golf course, I've been playing there. I'm 29 now. I've been playing since I was 11. I can tell you that there isn't a single junior member that's taking up prime time tee time slots.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
Corey, the
That's
question, as Marie raised is the question is, do we just put that category of youth as a separate calculation and not add them to the total 400? Because if we don't do that and we still cap at 400, it's not going to help us meet the revenue numbers. So if they're always playing after 5 and more join, that's fine. It does not go to that bottom line of 400.
Right. That would be my position. Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I don't
Okay,
think
so-
that the revenue generated by them is detracting from the revenue generated by people who are booking those, the tee times that are, creating most of the value for the golf course.
Is
But
that,
we've always looked at the total membership as a number, and that included all categories of member, so of season pass. And so if 400 is the number, they were always included in that number. So if you don't include them in the number, then okay, so now we have 450 and we have the same problem that we had.
No, I think the argument was that the youth aren't impacting adult play. I mean, I think that's what Corey just said.
No,
I think that's
no,
what you said it also. You said that they don't come on until 5 in the afternoon.
Yes, I know. But if we talk about what is the tipping point number of season pass, and I suggest it's 400, we've always included the youth in that number. And if you put them aside and you say, okay, well, we're going to count 400 but not include the youth, then now you're talking about 450.
Right.
450 of non-youth. And
Yeah.
so now we have the same problem we had.
So Usha's point is we're at 358 now. We take on all these additional youth. That doesn't, the net positive impact to our revenue, Todd, is insubstantial.
But we're not going to increase the turnover in the youth. They graduate, they leave, they go back to their home states and whatever.
And you said a whole new
it's
batch.
always going to be about the same number.
I think I see your point, Todd. I think that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Wouldn't
So
it be, Usha's point, wouldn't it be if you have 358 now and you take out those 50 youth, you really have 308.
Right.
Right.
That's what you really have. And you just sort of ignore them because they're not affecting anything. So now you can go from 308 to 400. You could add 92 new people. And you just don't bother counting the youth at all.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and then we'd have a huge problem.
Well, you
We'd
said
have the same problem that we had a couple years ago.
So wait, Todd, I'm misunderstanding. So where is this problem coming from if the tee times from the youth are inconsequential?
So So, okay, so if, if, if I suggest that 400 is the number, and that always included a certain portion of youth, if you take the youth out and say, oh, well, we can increase the number by 80, well, then we're going to have a problem, because the 400 number always included the youth.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah.
So if,
So Todd, if I can get, just so I can get this right, maybe just so I know that, because I think I actually am about to back you here, because you're saying because the youth are inconsequential, us taking them out of the calculation doesn't impact the morning tea times, the early afternoon tea times already, them being in there or not. So increasing it by 80 leaves you with the same issue of there's still the same amount of people that are playing in those times, and you just added 80 to it. Is that correct?
Right.
so yes. So 400, if we say, if we looked at the data and we said, okay, well, 400 is the tipping point. Well, that 400 included our youth.
Yes.
So if you take the youth out and then you say, oh, well, we can add 60 new adult members. Well, now we have a problem again.
Yes. I think I understand your point, Todd, because your argument being that those 60 youth were already, even though they were counted, they were already not impacting all those tea times that we want to sell, correct?
No, they were part of the number. They were
part of the number, but
that
they
we
weren't.
looked at.
Whether it's 400 or if let's say it's 60, right? 60
No,
junior
no,
members, right?
no, you're right. No, right.
I think I
exactly
got
right.
you, Todd.
The youth,
Yeah.
the youth were always the youth, and they always played in a predictable way.
Right.
But if you take them away and say, oh, well, we can add 50
Right.
new
Okay.
members,
Yeah.
well, then we have a problem.
Right. Yeah, Todd, that makes
get
sense
it.
to me. Yeah.
I get it. Let me see if I can frame it. So essentially, 400 included the youth. That means if you back out 50 from the youth, what we can have are 350 that are not including youth. Because with the
Correct.
350, we're getting to that max level of being able to get the tea times.
So
So that gives us about 42 left for us to.
So the real tipping point is 350,
Yeah.
350 adults.
Yes.
That's the real tipping point.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that within this hypothetical or within the actual data figures? I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to follow, but just want to make sure I got this clear. Is 350 the actual figure, or is that within the hypothetical?
Well, the actual figure today is 358, and
Okay,
that includes 50 youth, and that's not hypothetical. That's real.
Okay, understood.
So I think that the my opinion, but 400 includes all category of member. That seems to be, in my opinion, the tipping point. Whether it's 40 youth or 50 youth or 35 youth or whatever, but 400, it seems to work very well for us. Our season pass holders are able to book times. We don't have any of our season pass holders complaining about not being able to book times. But yes, correct. The youth never really figured into that equation anyway.
So proportionally, there's a certain proportion of that 400 that's youth and a certain proportion that's adult. And if it grows from 358 to 400, those proportions will stay the same. And the youth will grow from wherever it is. From 50, it might go to 60, and the adults will grow. So it doesn't, that's the maximum total amount. So, okay, that makes, it's an easier way to number, just look at the total number than to partition it out, is what you're saying.
Right.
It's
I
easier to
think
look at
400 is
and proportionally, the proportions will work out correct because that whatever that proportion of youth is will be adjusted and adults will be adjusted, but it still balances out okay, is what you're really saying. So, okay.
Is there any
Yes.
discussion about as far as combining some of these categories? The associate category, there's not very many of them. Is that what is that? Is that 22 to 25-year-olds? Is that what that is? The associate? Is that true? The number of passes is only 8 and 6?
Mhm.
Those are the real numbers?
Yep.
There's 14 of them. Okay. Is there any thought about reducing that category at all? I'm just
It
because we have
was,
so many
Well,
categories.
it was higher. Um, at one time,
Uh-huh.
if we went back and looked at old revenue reports, the number of associate and associate plus were considerably higher. I mean, at
Okay.
one point, when we first introduced this a number of years ago, I think we had a total of maybe 10 to 15 youth under the age of 35 playing, and then it grew to over 50. And the youth
Hmm.
are the future of golf, and so I think we need to. And we've made some adjustments over the last couple of years. I think we took out the. They used to have unlimited play, and I think it's proposed that they now have limited play. So I think, to me, the idea of getting rid of the associate or the associate plus is a mistake.
That
I
category,
agree.
if I can add
It
in,
has to, but it has to be limited. I mean, you can't have associate plus with that much of a discount with full access to the golf course.
Well,
Any
my counter to that, Margaret, would be, do we have access to the data on when the people holding these categories are playing? Because if we do have, like, if we granted that we do have access to that data, whether we do or not, but if we did, and we find out, wow, 95% of them are only playing after 3 p.m., then that really doesn't impact the figures at all. But you also are introducing some youth into the golf course who could turn into somebody that now you've got a lifelong, committed player to the club, like a Corey Jones,
So
Um,
just for the record, I was the one who originally proposed this category.
no, Margaret, I'm not pushing back on you at
So,
all. I'm
and
just
I
raising the
fully
point,
believe in this category, but if you go to any other golf course in any other part of the world, this category, the idea is absolutely to get them in, but they come in with limited, they start with limited access to the golf course because of the discount rate, and then they work their way up to having unlimited access to the golf course.
Yeah.
I hear that point. I'm just saying that I do think that guys, is it something we want to consider trying to create, or propose? I don't know how we go about creating this. Can we propose potentially it is valuable to recognize when people in each category are playing? Because,
Well,
for
yeah.
example, like we just talked about the juniors, if the juniors are, let's just grant, they're only playing after 5 o'clock, we could literally have 70 to 80 junior members and it wouldn't impact revenue except positively.
So that was the hope that we were with the new software was to be able to start
hmm
tracking this type of thing.
right.
Right. Great.
Yeah.
Great. And I just think that would be something that we should, not lose sight of and that we should
100%.
value that.
Now, I'd
So,
like to add in that, Margaret, I remember when you proposed that category, and we really were targeting the young professional who's no longer in college, who is working at EB Pfizer in the area and
Mhm.
and trying to, give them
Starting their
a
careers.
little bit of a discount so that they could continue playing golf. One thing that I'd like to just add in before we put the youth to bed there, so to speak, is that something that we had talked about at the last meeting, which I don't believe we have yet tonight, is the issue of trying to resolve people who make tee times and don't show, because I think that really is a, a, a correlating factor with trying to have balance that demographic of or the categories of players. And we really haven't come up with didn't come up in the discussion. But that truly is a sticking point. A lot of people who make tee times and don't show. If that was resolved in a concrete way, I think that we might not want to cap. Maybe that 350 could be 375 or a little bit larger on the adult players. This one didn't want us to lose sight of that that other really big elephant in the room there of people who don't show, who make tee times.
I would be very curious to see the data on, let's just use round figures. If we could account for the amount of rounds that were no-showed this year, if we said that you incur a 50% of the tee time as like a penalty fee, I'd be very curious to see what the revenue numbers would be.
Mhm.
I mean, because I completely hear that, Maria. I think that's a fantastic point. I do think that's something that we can't overlook. That is so big, and I don't think that it's in my experience, just from talking to the membership and the people that play there, generally speaking, I can't attribute that to anything except oversight and laziness on the part of the people holding the tee times.
Right. And we
So
haven't done anything yet this year to, I'm not blaming anyone, but we were hoping we could get that resolved more earlier on.
we talked about it last time, and Todd
And we
had,
did. And that
yes,
should, and
I
that
brought it up, and Todd had indicated that we don't have a way
No,
today to
not
do
yet.
it because the current software is going to transition. And as he pointed out, rightfully, the only way to charge people is when they come into the store, right? Into the pro shop. So that we have to fix that, absolutely. The other, I would just put one more plug for Margaret's point about the associate. And I hear your point, Corey, that data will tell us and drive us, but I think with that a substantial discount, what we're talking about from unlimited to limited is just that the Saturday, Sunday, the weekend and holiday time, morning times are not available. But otherwise, it's unlimited play for Monday through Friday. I think that's a reasonable step to consider taking.
The
Opens up
only
the tea times and the weekends.
My only pushback to that, Usha, would be, and I'm not saying this is like I completely disagree with you because I don't. I recognize that. But as Mark said, the youth are the future of this golf course. I've been there almost 20 years since I was 11 years old. I was the kid, the only young player playing in that men's club on the weekend who was garnered in. All my friends were 50, ask Todd. Todd's one of them, we don't have a foundation, a next generation that's coming in. So, and I think that that's a market that we could tap into. I'm not saying I completely disagree with you. I don't. I actually think most of your points make a lot of sense to me, but I do think that we want to be very careful about excluding the youth from a price point, even if it means just opening up another category. Hey, the youth can play on the weekends at this premium rate. I do think that's something we should consider because for the longest time, I was the only kid playing in the men's club, at the very least on the weekends, in a regular group for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's such a small number, it's not worth spending a lot of time on it because it's a small number. So I'll use my own argument saying it's a small number.
Right. No, I hear you. I'm just saying it's a number that I think could be extremely valuable because as someone who teaches a lot of those kids, that's the argument I hear back to me is, well, they can't play on the weekends, so they can only play after school. We're not going to get them in there.
They can play on the weekends.
Even
they
if
can play, they can play
if,
on the weekends after whatever, and we're going to set that time. They can play in the
right, but
afternoon.
they can't engage with the competitive, the atmosphere of like the men's club. Well, no, they can, Margaret. That's what I did, and I paid another $1,600 to be able to do it, and that's only because I grew up very privileged. But I think that it's something that we might want to talk about because we may or may not be alienating that demographic. Just something to consider, guys. I mean, it's not even something we have to get to figure out tonight, obviously.
Corey, this rate here goes for folks up to 25, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So,
and it's 1570 at Norwich.
Yeah, so let's just we're doing pretty well here. up through the age of 25.
Okay.
And then you're well into your career at 25, 20, you hit 26, 27. You're well into your career.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but what about 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, like
No,
all
16,
those?
17, they're down here in the youth. That
Right,
we've got them covered. We've
right,
got
And,
right,
and the only reason I brought it up was because I was trying to consolidate some of the categories.
right. I mean, I
I
obviously
wasn't
come in
bringing up
with
anything. I'm sure
no,
we
no.
hit a nerve.
I obviously
we're
come in
good.
with some bias here, guys. I'm
Okay.
just
No,
saying
I love your
No, no, no.
experiences. I
it's a
appreciate it.
potential
I'll just
untapped
point
market.
out,
That's all I'm saying.
I'll
You
point
know,
out
it's
last year, our initial proposal last year collapsed residents and non-residents and didn't offer a discount for resident. We came in with an original proposal and we were asked to take it back to distinguish residents and non-residents um, after the first pass. But
Oh,
our original proposal last year did not have a distinguishment between residents and non-residents.
for which category?
All of them, and it was to basically
Oh,
mirror Norwich, because it's because of the way the golf course is set up as a independent fund.
I
Yeah,
see.
and we actually shrunk by 4 categories under the
Yes.
regular group last year. We got rid of the military
Mhm.
regular,
Yes.
the associate plus, and the military family. Those
Oh,
four went away from regular, and the associate was moved into the limited category. So we
Correct.
actually, and I'm not arguing that we have a lot more categories than a lot of other golf courses, but last year we did decrease by
okay.
4 the number of categories.
Mhm.
Can
Okay.
I have a question here, and this is clearly from the council point of view, because this is what we do. We sort of look at a chart like this, and then we try to figure out how you came up with some of these numbers. So if I'm reading this chart, I'm going back to the pricing. If the base is the 2079, and I see on that one there, and then I see this 5% discount, how do you get to that 1881 number? How did you come up with that number?
So if you do 2079 times 0.95,
Yeah.
it should
It,
work.
no, it's actually about 10%.
Is
1881
it?
is about 10%. So if I take 2079 times 10% minus equals, whoops,
It's
I had it here.
1975, so it's a 10%. Yep.
It's 10%. These numbers
Yep.
I can't get to any of these numbers by these percentages.
I must have made a mistake in doing these
Right.
numbers.
So I take 2079 times 5%, which is 103 minus equals, that's 1975, not 1881.
Yep. So 1881 is a 10% discount.
Okay. So
Yeah.
they're all kind of like that, and I just don't.
I need to, sorry, Bruce, I did so many calculations. I must have
No, no, that's okay. I'm
wrong
just
one.
telling
So
you,
I'll update this.
yeah, I'm just telling you what we do, what I do, and other people
Okay.
do too, is we take the charts that come to us, and then we try to figure
Yep.
out, we try to duplicate it, go, well, how did they get these numbers? And if
Yep.
they don't match, then we go, well, I don't know what's going on, and we just throw heads. So
No,
that's just something
that's
that none of these are correct, and I want them to be correct. That's all. So
yeah, I'll send an updated one.
okay, fantastic. Sorry to point that out, but that's
No, glad you
Makes a
did.
difference.
Historically, what we would do for years, we would increase the non-resident rate, and the resident would receive a 10% off of that. So for years and years and years, there was a 10% discount between the non-resident and resident. So we would talk about increasing the non-resident, and then the resident got 10% from that,
right.
rounded up or whatever.
Yeah, you just kind of backed it out, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. I just want, how you present this to us
Yep.
is if we sense there's mistakes, then we just count the whole thing and just throw it
Yeah,
away.
no, I'll update it right now.
Okay. Okay. Just that's all I. So I just was sitting here going, I can't figure out how I got any of these numbers. So it's
Yeah, I would be the same way.
so
Okay. So it's
and you got the 2079 was an increase of over the 1980 number, right? So
mhm.
2079 divided by 1980. Oops, wrong way. 1980 equals. So that's a 5% increase. Okay, you're right. That's 5% increase.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. Right. Yeah, no, a good updated one is fine. I don't care. I just
So I'm updating it now so we get it.
Yeah, for the purpose of the discussion tonight, I think it would be valuable to have the numbers
Yeah.
now.
Yep. Okay. Does that add up?
let's see. 2079 times 43% minus equals oops. 2079 times 43% minus equals 1185. Yeah. Well, you have 1188, I have 1185.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll tend around those, but
Yeah, that seems closer. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's 38%.
So these numbers will change.
1288.
No,
Yeah.
they won't change.
So 5. So the thing that has driven a lot of us is, and I don't know if I have the terms right or wrong, is that the women's league that plays early in the mornings. So I think it's senior women or something. They're very vocal.
oh,
What? Are you
yeah,
talking about us?
yes, you, Madeline, you.
And
Counselor
that
Jones?
they're very vocal, and they get us to change our numbers.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, really?
So that's where a
Okay.
Yes,
lot
they
of this
do.
has come from. Yes.
Well,
We get approached and they come and then the numbers get changed and we're like, okay. I mean, that's where the pressure comes from. That's the group that pressures that causes us to push back.
okay. I'm glad to
Yeah,
hear. I'm not glad to hear that, but it's good to hear that information. I mean,
Yeah.
we are predominantly, in the senior category.
Right. So it's that.
So those numbers are, yeah. So we are looking at, they're the limited seniors, and whether they're
Oh,
residents or non-residents, we have I'm not sure what our percentage is, but
it's an outsized influence because the other groups don't make any comment about the pricing.
wow.
They want the price to go up.
They don't
no, I
they don't
want the
vocal. I
price
mean,
to
the
go
adults
way
associations,
down.
the family, none of those groups ever none of those have ever approached me and asked me to change or they're upset about the pricing. It's only that group.
If I could speak to that a little bit, Counselor Jones, knowing our league, and it's not a general statement, but there are quite a few active senior players who are single and sole supports, and the price does make a difference. It does make a difference, and I've always appreciated that Shinnecock is a municipal course that invites everyone to play, and in doing that also through the rates, and we see that in our league, not as all members, that's for sure, but there's certainly a fair number where the price does make a difference.
Right.
And many of the ladies will get up and speak. They want to
Yes,
play
they
golf.
will.
They want to be active. They found a great league in Shinnecock.
Yeah, no, I'm not denying any of that. I'm just saying if as you're balancing these numbers and these pricing, that's a group that's influencing. If it ends up
Mhm.
influencing all the other numbers, you might somehow balance that so it doesn't quite as affected or not. I'm not sure, but
Yeah. And I think we just need to also make the case a little bit stronger this year about the expenses.
mm-hmm.
I think we haven't necessarily done that quite as well, so that people understand what it takes to actually operate the golf course. While appreciating exactly what Marie just said.
So how do we want to, I know Marie, you had something that you had put together. How do we proceed with making a decision on the recommendation for a rate?
Well, I'm not prepared to share the screen. I just made a spreadsheet, not a spreadsheet, but a chart this morning. My concern was overcharging and charging to a point where we're not competitive, and looking particularly at the non-resident rate. This is chart that you received in the second packet, but the unevenness of percentage increases in some of the categories. For example, for 2025, the 9-hole rate went up 48.1%. A lot of seniors play 9 holes. That's a huge increase. Yet other increases were less. So I just want to bring this information to your attention. I wanted to put in one place the 2024 rates, the 2025 rates, and then look at the dollars in dollars and also the percentage increase, and it's always an increase for non-residents versus residents in 2024, and then continue on to 2025. And because we increased the rates considerably last year. And then that last two columns, what was the increase for Groton residents, comparing 2024 to 2025 in the categories, and then what was the increase for non-residents. And if we look at the non-resident category, it really did jump considerably. And for some us in Groton too, there were high increases. So I just want to be aware of what we did last year. Todd, I think where you said, it's always been a rate set again, for the non-residents, and then back off a common percentage for residents. That seemed to make a lot of sense. And
yeah, for like the last 28 years, we've always increased the non-resident rate, and then we've knocked off 10% for the resident. That is what we always used to do.
I am concerned about our competition out there with other courses. I'm concerned about the Gold Star Bridge construction. People do say that it's going to make an impact of whether they come across to Groton or go find a course on the other side of the river.
There's no question of that. That we exist in a market, and we have not so much Pequot, but we have Norwich, which is our main competitor, and we have, to a certain extent, Elmridge, although they have issues over there, and they have for the last 2 years. But yeah, we have to look to them, and we just can't do things in a vacuum.
And I don't believe we ever have. I mean, we look at everybody else's rates every year.
No, we always have.
So
yes,
I know
no, you're right. We always
making
have.
a decision in a vacuum.
No, I was just agreeing with with Marie's point,
Yeah, and I do think even though, we, as we say, we don't compare ourselves to Pequot, we do recruit a lot from Pequot. So our women's league has recruited close to a dozen players, and I see recruiting a few more this year. Not that I'm
we
recruiting
love
per
them,
se. I'm not
and we
recruiting.
love them.
Let me rephrase that. We pull a lot of
Mhm.
members from them. So because Pequot's kind of a starter course and you learn there, there's a lot of beginners that start there. They
Mhm.
will sometimes transition to Shinnecock because it is close by. So I don't want to like outprice us either, where we're too far away from that course either. So I think just comparable, right? I just want to be comparable.
I think we talked earlier about
Season pass.
Norwich is most comparable to us. Pequot, the course isn't, the greens are not Shenny greens. I don't think there's any course that's a Shenny green in our neighborhood, but um, I don't feel that strongly about comparing to Pequot as I do comparing to Norwich for pricing.
Mhm. So that's just simply just for your own information to look at some of those percentages as we make our decisions.
So I don't believe we're going to go back to where we were 3 years ago. That's not going to happen
No.
because the cost to run the golf course is not going to go back to where it was 3, 4 years ago. I don't believe, right, Mark? I don't think you're going to take your expenses to operate the course back to 2022 levels or 2023 levels.
No. And I don't think the council's in a position to, um, you know, partially fund the operation of the golf course. Their expectation is that greens fees, season pass holders, cart fees, lease fees, that's what's going to have to sustain the golf course.
That's right.
And do we have a new hire this year, Mark? Did we hire an additional maintenance? We have more staff than we had last year. Is that
We will have half a person this year. And
with
maintenance,
benefits or?
yes, but they will be split with the Parks Division.
Okay, so we will have an increase in staffing, which is
It'll be a 0.5 FTE.
certainly needed, but it is an addition, I guess, to the expense.
Mhm.
I'm just going to throw this on the table and not a motion, but just for would we think of keeping with that model of a 10% discount for Groton or 10% less? I'm gonna call it discount, but less. Would we across the board raise the non-resident rates by 10% and leave the Groton rates the same? I agree, Mark, we can't go back, but
No, I think
moving forward.
resident, I think unfortunately both the resident and non-resident rates, as Usha proposes them, probably do need to increase.
We increase the Groton residents by 5% and the non-residents by 15.
I think I think
we have to look at we have to
in favor of the way Usha is proposing it, that we raise that base rate and then take the discount off of that base rate so that there will be some increase. To Usha, where are you?
Yeah.
So it becomes about 1720 to 1881 is about a 161. So it's about a 8% increase, 7% increase.
And I heard Todd said that that's how we've done in the past as well.
It is.
Increase
It
the
is.
non-resident and then
So in essence, it becomes a
It's almost 10%, 10%.
Yeah, like a 9% increase, and I think that's probably about where we are, given the numbers that Mark quoted earlier with us going up to expenses in the greater than 2 million range compared to this year, which is about a 10% increase to not only the increase in the expenses, but also what we need to add to the fund balance in order to continue to make sure that we can cover work on the golf course. So we have a
So,
10%, about a 10% increase in expenses. And if we do what we're thinking about doing, which is increasing the number of season pass holders to around the 400 point, and we haven't even talked about kind of increasing we haven't gotten to the greens fees rates here yet. Um, but getting those increased a little bit as well, we might be able to make sure. But with Usha's numbers here, we're only talking 695,000. I think, Usha, that was about where your
Yeah.
number was.
Yeah, 675.
675. So we're only at 675 on our way to 2 million.
But this is just the season pass.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to cover the 1.4 million that we still have to get with greens fees and tournaments and things like that.
And I do think we should increase, or at least consider
Yes.
increasing these two
Mhm.
categories as well.
I agree.
Councilor Jones.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at this, because I'm the one that has to go in front of the council and try to explain this, and I don't really want a repeat of last year. Is this one, does it make sense to you? And who do you think this is? And I'm putting you on the spot and I'm asking you to speak for 8 other people.
Right.
But um, is this something that you feel the council would feel palatable? And would they understand the 76% discount of a limited resident youth off of the 2079 benchmark?
I think that's okay because you can see what the real number is. You know, the 76% sounds extreme, but because you can see that you went from 370 to, 389,
495. Yeah,
495,
that's
you can see the increase. What I would recommend is not to have an option one and an option two.
No, we
Right,
would
yeah.
clean this
Yeah.
up.
Just
Yeah.
just pick
Yeah.
pick
Yeah.
one.
Mhm.
I is there a justification of why you would not raise the family? That's going to be a question that you're going to get. Is
No, we're
I
why?
gonna
think
have
we
to raise
should
the
raise.
family.
I think we
mean-
should raise it, given that Margaret just mentioned that Norwich is 8 months and not 12 months.
Mhm.
So
I mean,
we
I don't
should
know what
raise that.
it could be 5% or 3%. I mean, it just needs to be
Exactly.
probably something that
Yeah.
just so it says it just goes up. Um, I think having the expectations of the actual expenses to kind of justify why I think is helpful so that we know what we're comparing to. These are just sort of floating in space at the moment, but by putting them against maybe what your goals are, trying to get to a certain dollar amount, might be helpful so we can see what the reasoning is. I think would be helpful, and you could combine seasonal with the greens fees, with all the, just you can come up with the real number.
Yeah.
Um, I think just so that you can see why you're doing what you're doing, I think is helpful, so you can justify it. Um, um, I yeah, I guess so. I mean, I would also probably put those target numbers on here um, that we had asked for, the five, the targets, council targets of 5 to 7 and the 15 to 17 is probably helpful also. So we see, because not everybody's going to remember that, and we have new members. Um, I mean, I had kind of forgot. I was like, oh yeah, we did do that. So I think that that's a helpful thing to say. These are the target numbers that the council recommended, and you're staying inside of that framework. Um, it doesn't mean we can't change those numbers, but it just sort of lets us know what the universe is.
Residence was 5%.
You had said 5 to 7%.
7, yeah, 5 to 7.
5 to 7. And so right away, that will flag the top line where
Right.
it's 10%. So you need to
Right.
kind of think about
Yeah,
this
this
target number and how that sort
Yeah.
of works.
It needs to be larger.
and
So
non-residence was 15.
15 to 17. Yeah. So I think that just this needs to be looked at in light of those targets, see if you can make it work with those targets.
Yeah.
I don't.
I do worry though that the 15 to 17 might push us into a category of really too high.
Mhm. And I don't remember, the thing that Todd had said that you sort of took a number and then did a 10% discount off that number. I'm not sure how much any of us are really aware of that, or you may have explained it at the time, but I'm not sure how much we were aware of it. So, um,
Yeah.
And
So
that's
if you take,
exactly what
yeah,
we're doing here. This number and everything is discounted off of that number.
just discount off of that
yeah.
number. So,
Well, so if you did that though, it would be taking that 1980 in the second line and increasing it by 15% instead of 5%, and then taking the discounts off of that
Mm-hmm.
right. So if I take 1980
and do a
times
15% increase.
15% plus equals, so that's 2277.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if that's a competitive number to the surrounding.
It is still competitive to the
It's
surroundings.
still competitive. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah, I think Norwich is 2270,
Yeah,
Yeah,
right on.
for
okay.
8-1.
right?
So
For the adult non-resident. So, yeah.
you're you're okay. Oh yeah, I see it right
We're
there. Yeah, you
okay.
have 2270 and 20.
Yeah, we're $9
Yeah.
more.
We're
Yeah.
we're still dealing with the change of a massive jump. That was probably the biggest factor, is the
Mhm.
massive jump.
Right.
But we're still competitive.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't see a 15 to 17% increase annually for non-residents as sustainable.
No.
No,
No,
Right.
it's not.
no.
But could you do 10? I mean, maybe our
Well,
targets were wrong. Our targets might have been wrong too, that to say 15 is just not
well, yeah, year over year, it's
No.
not sustainable.
right.
I think the goal, we need to get up to a certain point and then we can kind of level back off
Mhm.
to where to something that's a little bit more in line with inflation. But we were falling behind inflation, like way behind inflation. We had
Right.
fallen behind, and so we just needed to catch up. Once we get caught back up, then we can kind of get back in line.
I mean, you're kind of playing, there's actual numbers that you need to do, but there's also sort of emotional numbers and
Correct.
people's feeling about our community number, all of that kind of plays in here. And we have two sort of pressures on us. One is to explain it to ourselves so we understand what's going on, and then the pressure of being able to explain it when a resident comes up and says, they're shocked by the number. So it has to sort of, there's a balance in there somewhere to find a number that's like, or if we need to be able to justify it too.
Hmm.
So
And sometimes the justifications may be legitimate, but they're not, emotionally legitimate or in budget wise legitimate. So I know it's a tricky thing to try to find that sweet spot of all of these numbers. So, but
So a
But
15% increase would be 2277, right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
that's close to a $300 increase. That's
Yeah,
a big
that's
jump.
a little bit too
That's
big,
a
and that
huge
was the
jump.
emotional
Yeah.
And
increase that just wasn't tolerated last year.
yeah, my concern is we'll end up having a unintentional consequence that people will not sign up.
Yeah. And Mark will get beat up.
And Margaret will get beat up.
Yeah.
Margaret got beat up pretty badly last year.
So what's
So,
the 10%? That's 1980 times 10% plus equals, that's 2178 is 10%.
2178.
Yep.
Not too bad.
That's not too bad. 10%.
And that is about $200.
Yep. Yep. So that's a reasonable, that doesn't seem unreasonable for a $2,000
Hmm.
thing. It's cheaper than what my cable bill seems to keep going up. So
So let
yeah,
me,
so that's like the emotional thing. You have to find that number that sort of emotionally seems okay, and then there's the actual one that you need to cover costs. So that's
And then we just all need to know that there will be a contingent that will come after.
right, right.
no doubt. And the other thing, when we started this conversation talking about the increase in sales because we're going to increase our membership, right? Our numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're
And
going to open it up to a larger number.
right. So that's another part of this story or the context behind, in addition to the price, increases is, hopefully, our revenue will increase because our sales will increase. So I think that's encouraging for the
Right.
golf course and for meeting our budget numbers.
And just to have, just to give me an understanding is by saying you're opening up for sales, have you been limiting sales and sort of held back and now you
Yeah.
can kind of let it go, you can let it
Yeah.
bump up a little bit. And
There's
that's
no
just
non-residents can be members, right?
no new non-residents.
no new
No,
Right,
non-resident.
right,
non-resident.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. But that was a whole year of
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you
So
have increases in resident members for these? Is that something that sort of happens, or is really all your growth in the non-resident members?
There could,
I mean, if you maxed out your resident members,
No, because right now we're at 358, and I think our target was like 400. So we could have taken on another 42 non-residents.
okay. So if a new resident came and said, I want to sign up and get a season's pass, you're okay with that. But if a
Yes.
non-resident came, you'd say, no, you got to get in queue or it's a lottery or whatever it is
Yes.
you do.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, the
And what you're
council
saying is you're
said
going to open
last
that
year,
app. Okay.
a resident always gets to buy a pass.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the council's directive.
but remember that's April and May is when they sign up. So we can't lose that opportunity.
Right. You should open it up. I mean,
Well, Margaret, did you say that it is open now to non-residents because we're under the 400?
well, that's what we're going to decide tonight. And I would think if we can decide, maybe that's something that we can go ahead and do. I don't know do we need council approval to do that?
I wouldn't think. Did we limit
mean,
it? We didn't limit it.
Historically, sorry, Bruce, Councilor Jones.
That's okay. It's fine.
Historically, the council has set the rates and not really
Policy.
made any decisions about who can buy passes and who could not.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, I'm only going to speak for me on this, but I would say the easiest way to raise revenue is just to let in a few more non-resident people,
Mhm.
and it doesn't change anything. In fact, it improves everything. I would say, go for it.
yeah,
I mean, you got a hole there. You got 40 people you can add in, so let it. It's not. That's what you want. You need more revenue, and that's the easiest way to do it without changing anything. And then it doesn't seem to me that the non-residents are as price sensitive as residents. Is that an accurate statement?
The only thing that we might need is a little snow melt.
Stuff, right? But I mean, you got a hole, you got to go for it. I would think.
Well, at what price would they come into though? They can't, I, you know, if we have to set rates first before,
Right, right.
Yeah.
right? Because we don't want them paying 2025 rates. We want them to pay the 2026 rates, right?
Yes.
Right.
And that has to be approved by the council.
Right.
Right. So
So
you
in
have
terms
to
of
wait.
timing, Mark, when would that meeting take place where you go to the council, before the
It'd
council
be in March.
in March? Okay.
Yeah.
And our meeting with Park and Rec on the 25th of this month is, we should have our rates decided, and then Park and Rec will make amendments or adjustments as they see possibly.
Yes, there'd be a joint discussion on the 25th, and at the end of that evening, we would have a recommendation from the Parks and Rec Commission on the proposed 26 rates,
So
which I would take to the council the first meeting in March.
So we really need a decision tonight to,
Yeah.
Yeah,
have
the
that
gap,
meeting on the
we need to
25th.
have numbers so that I can give those to the Parks and Rec Commission.
But if I can just clarify, the decision about opening up for a few more people, that's really this group, right? That's not,
Yes.
it's nobody else's. That's just an internal
Right.
operational group. That's,
Yeah.
you can just say, we just
Although,
let it go, slide open.
yeah, although last year the council said no new non-residents.
Why did we say that?
Because we did have an issue last year with our numbers. Because
Okay.
there had been a lot of complaints about people not being able to get tea times.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
and that's why I don't want us to lose sight of that. We can work that problem through simultaneously. I think it's a win-win
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
reasonable rates and open tea times, enough tea times.
Okay.
So Usha, for the family pieces, I think we can do it as a 5% off of the combined, like take the double the adult and then take a 5% discount off of that, or whatever the value is. I think
I can take a look.
whatever that calculation is. They get a nice discount.
Because the unlimited,
34.40.
what's that? Yeah, so unlimited family.
Usha, can you share the screen again?
You want to see the,
Magic
Yeah,
at
just
work.
so we can all kind of see the math.
the
Yeah, so
math
this
is,
Yeah.
yeah,
34.40,
this is
29.
what we have right now, but we should use the new numbers, right? So
So last year, oops. It was close to a 13% discount
is that what
for the
how much?
family. About a 13% discount for the family.
Okay.
So if you take the value and double it, and then take a 13% discount off of that, it's usually what it was. So it looks like what we did for them last year.
So let's do, so you want to take the double and then 13% discount.
So it would be the 1881 times 2, for example.
Or the new number. Do you want the new number?
Well, the 1881 is the new number.
Times 2. And you want 15% off?
Yeah, let's just start there. 15% off.
5 times. Okay. So that is 3198.
Perfect. So 3,200.
Yeah. So that's about $208, $210 difference.
Mm-hmm. The one above it, yeah.
So that's the unlimited.
It's resident family.
Yeah. So the number was
3,200.
29. Yeah. So you want the same, you have to think about, so that was about 87. So 13% higher for non-residents.
Good
So
offset.
that's goes up to 36,
Okay.
13, so about 3,600.
Mm-hmm.
Then 2190. Something's wrong. What percent discount was that for the unlimited family?
Last year.
It was 1980. It's probably a discount from the 2990, you think? How is that done?
It was 2440 to 2190.
It was 2990 to 2190. 2990. So that's a 17, I'm sorry, 22% discount. So if we do,
Yikes.
I'm not seeing changes to the spreadsheet. Are you making live changes? Or am I just,
no, I'm not.
okay. But just on that one last night, would we be charging less for,
This is
yeah,
limited,
that
right?
does, right, but currently a limited family, non-resident or resident? Resident is 2190, non-resident is 2520.
So they would be charged a little bit more.
Right.
It sounds you're charging
Non-resident.
less. I don't understand. Yeah.
They'd be charged more. So you
Yeah,
take the
we need to charge more. I
1485,
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
your 1485, multiply it times 2, and then
I'm sorry, I lost your train of thought there, Marie. Wasn't sure I followed. Okay, so that gets us to, oops.
So just a question here, these resident rate increases that we have on the chart currently are outside of that 5 to 7% um, range. Are they going to be brought back into that? They're 9 or 10 or one of them's 14. Are we,
they may or may not be.
Mark, you'll have to
I
look at,
don't really want to go to the council with something that isn't going to fly.
I'm just saying you're going to get beat up
I'm
if
going to
you,
get beat up, and I'm
Yeah, so this is
too
going to be
old
the
and too
problem.
tired for that.
Yeah, no, I get it. But so, Counselor Jones, the problem is going to be that if we go in with, and I think we model it out. So with so this is where we're going to come with two options. We can come in with their recommendation from last year, and then we can say this is what the expected revenue is going to be. And my guess is it's going to be way short of $2 million.
right. And so what I'm saying is or Mark's going to need to be able to give a good case of why it's going. I mean, maybe these rates, these ranges were unrealistic, and nobody realized it. It was sort of a reaction against last
Yeah.
year's. But you're going to have to be able to justify, with you know, ex, expenses goals and that kind of thing, why you're changing it. So it's going to need to be very clear. I'm not saying, and then I think you should also just sort of have a backup plan is if people stick to these numbers and say, no, that's the numbers and sorry, you have to go make it work on that, then what's plan B? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying because these limits had been imposed on here, you may find that you're kind of forced into it. So I just want to be that you should plan out both scenarios. The scenario that you would really like based on anticipated expenses, and then one on based on these ranges, even if they're not realistic.
Yeah.
I just you're going to have to justify how you're going to go outside of them, and maybe they were wrong in the beginning, but you're going to have to prove things you want to do and that kind of stuff. That's
And
I'm just saying, be prepared to be if people know these numbers. Um,
yeah, because
don't
if
put
it's
those
Lincoln,
don't
yeah,
put those recommendations on the presentation, but it's somebody will remember them.
And this pricing is based on assuming the same number of season passes sold uh, next year as this year, or is
yeah.
this, or have we factored in, a 10% growth or a 20% growth in the number of season passes? Because
Well,
that 20% growth is going to impact whether we have to go up 10% or 7%. And I think that if we went up 20%, um, I think that's a reasonable number of season passes that we could sell if we go from 358 and go up
to 400.
to 400, right? And I don't know if that's 15% growth or whatever.
But that may be the way 358 divided by 400 equals. It's 11% growth.
Oh, just 11. Okay. Well, whatever percent it is, I think hitting 400 is not going to be an issue.
Right. And that may cover you. That may allow you to stay inside those
That may
targets.
allow us to stay, stay away from 15 to 17% increases. Because at some point, if we go up too high, we're not going to be able to attain that 11% growth to get to 400.
And just, you have a cap on you, and you just got to figure out if you can make this work in the cap.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason we asked earlier if that cap was truly we were going to be held to it, or if the reality of the expenses that we have to cover with revenue is what we are targeting.
Right.
So
Right.
it's really, if it's really the cap and we're going to be asked, then we have to come back and Mark has to figure out his expense budget based on this cap, then that's a different story and we work to that.
Right. I mean, I think if we say, look, we need to hit a target of 420 in order to make all the numbers work, then it's 420.
Yeah, and then we start impacting the quality of play on the course, and
Yeah.
then you start losing your greens fee revenue, and now you're
Right.
impacting another portion of your revenue stream, and
Yep.
you've still got a problem.
But I
Right.
think this is where we have to start charging for no show, and
Mhm.
because that's a revenue stream that we have left on the table.
Yeah. According to Todd, no shows
There's
are
no
not an issue.
no-shows. So no-shows are not an issue, so there's no revenue stream to be gained there.
That's
So
what Todd says.
Well, because they
That's
haven't
correct.
tracked them. But
I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry, Todd. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say I work every Saturday morning and Sunday morning, and typically we have maybe 2 no-shows each day, but I have another foursome waiting to go that I can plug right in. So to Mark's point, no, I don't think it's an issue.
I think weekday, my experience has been different. Weekends may not be the case, but weekdays, sometimes, Todd, when I look on the T sheet, it is chock full. But when I get there, you're always able to get me in, and it's actually relatively empty. That's been my experience in some cases during the weekdays.
Well, actually, our season pass holders are the most guilty party. So what are we going to do with that?
we're
You should
going to
still
So
charge
that
them.
they're
Charge 'em.
going to be
Still
penalized
charge.
financially.
Oh,
Charge 'em.
okay. So what are you going to charge them?
That's what we have to figure out, whether it's half of a greens fee, whatever
Okay. Well, at this hour, you're not going to figure that out right now.
no, we can't right now.
But I think it
But
should
there
be
will
on the
be
table
enough.
as something to come back to and say there will be some revenue from charging any player, pass holder or greens fee.
Yeah. And
Okay.
the council
Well,
made
a
it pretty
season
clear
pass
that
holder has. Hmm.
Yeah, no, their credit card will need to be on file, just like everybody else's. I think the town council made that clear,
yes, quite clear.
quite clear.
do you have numbers? Do you have a percent that you have of this many are seasons passes and this many are greens fees? Is there like a percentage that where does that fall? Like, is it
What did you
40%?
say?
Is 40% is
54%? Yeah, 54% were green fees and 29% was season pass. Is that what we saw earlier in the data?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the numbers
Yeah.
I have documented, yes.
Right here, 54 greens fee, season pass 29, and cart rentals were 17,
17.
about 18. It just rounding error.
Should we talk about those fees?
Well, we haven't even set our season pass fees yet.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to talk about the other one, I'll fix this because we wanted to do the number that we used was 1881 for residents unlimited. So let me fix the numbers,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
can talk about why don't we start talking about the membership while I work on this.
Okay.
I mean, a greens fee, sorry.
Should we look at that golf rate comparison sheet, Margaret? Is that what everybody has as far as the greens fees? Is that still accurate?
Hmm.
That shows Shenny, Elmridge, Norwich, and Great Neck?
I think that's a good idea, Madeline. But I believe embedded in the Norwich Monday through Thursday for their price, it's the $10 voucher and the card.
Well,
I believe I
yeah.
saw that, which really backs down the price considerably.
And
My
so
iPad. I think I saw that. Let me just double check.
I think those Norwich prices are non-resident, right? Non-resident prices. And-
Norwich
and-
prices include the cart at $15 for 18
Yeah,
holes on
It
weekends.
does include the cart, does it not, Lucia? I think
Yes,
it
it
does.
does.
Include,
Yeah, it's a deal and a half, and
You're kidding.
no, I just
Wow.
Yeah, it includes, it's $50 on weekends. That's 35 plus 15, $50.
Wow. Wow.
Do
All
you
right.
get people coming? Do you get people coming to the Shinnecock mentioning the pricing at Norwich?
No.
Do they ever come and say, well, in Norwich they do this, and so why am I paying this when in Norwich I'm getting that? Do they ever say that?
Yes, they do.
Do they?
Yes,
Can
they
you
do.
stop
And
sharing?
normally in the springtime we have a cheaper price. And so people come into our club and say, "Oh my God, that's great. They charge me $85 at Norwich and it's April." So yeah,
Lucia.
we get that.
Okay.
Usha, could you stop sharing for a second?
Yes. Trying to get there, hold on.
No worries.
So we're not really comparing apples to apples on that sheet then?
No.
No.
I'm not
Okay.
gonna worry about, I'm just gonna go straight to the website. I can.
Hmm.
Todd, do you have any sense of, do they
Hmm.
get in their car and drive away, or do they just never come back? Like, I'm just wondering how because I think Madeline, I'm right. There might be, these are apples and oranges unless they really are affecting each other, and that maybe the Shinnecock price isn't as much affected by the Norwich price. I mean, I don't know. I'm not on the pro shop, but I'm just wondering,
Well,
do people just sort of be local and they
on
go
the
and they golf?
on the shoulder parts of the season, the ramp up to high season price and the ramp down, we give a discount. And so Norwich doesn't. And so we get a lot of people come to say, we love coming to Shinnecock. Do you know what they're charging us up at Norwich? And so but in high season, we're comparable.
Mhm.
So no, nobody jumps into their car and leaves. No, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
As one of those players, Todd, throughout the summer, I can attest to that. Norwich's prices generally, especially early in the year, from my experience, because I try to practice for the invite, they're outrageous. I generally pick up my season pass at Shinnecock anyway, but just from my interaction with a lot of the Norwich guys, I'm very familiar with a lot of their club. That is one of the main points of contention that they have for a lot of their people that pay greens fees to play in their club, is that the rates are significantly higher than other local clubs, especially early in the year. So,
Mhm.
And so we benefit from that at our club, because those folks, after they got stung once, they come to us for the 5-6 times before high season.
I guess
So
my point in
yeah,
asking
we benefit.
my point in asking these questions is that it's, you have 54% greens fees, 29%, is that you have maybe a little more flexibility in the greens fees to go up a little bit more because the Norwich ones are so much higher, which if you go a little bit, you can discount a little bit, but I'm just saying that 54% could be 56%. You might be able to have a little more flexibility in those greens fees.
Right.
It's just a thought that you could play that because your main competition is higher up. And when they do just come down, you just discount to bring it to, it's kind of like Amazon pricing. They discount everything.
Mhm.
So, um,
Okay.
so I'm just saying it just that I don't know what those numbers are. It's a lot of monkeying around to figure it out, but you can make it up a little bit more by pushing that 54% to 56%.
Right. So currently, our weekend for a resident, start with the resident. Our resident 18 hole weekend rate is $54. That's our base price. And our non-resident is 65. Their resident weekend rate is 55 and their non-resident is 65. So basically the same. Minus $1. Their cart rate is $25. Our cart rate is 20, I believe. We call it 9 holes. They call it twilight. So their twilight time is 4 o'clock. 9 holes. I think on the weekend, Todd, you only allow it in the afternoons. For a resident, it's $27. For a non-resident, it's 40. They're just $35 whenever.
It's up to 3 o'clock.
Yeah, we start at 3 or after 3. Yep. Kiddos playing golf on the weekend in the afternoon after 3, 22 and 25 resident, non-resident. And then our associate friends, 22 to 25, 36 and $50. So they get a bit of a discount. And then weekday, this is where it gets to be fun. And they separate Friday, weekday, Friday. Fridays for them, weekends. So I don't know why they call that out, but they must have had some debate at some point. But weekdays are Monday to Thursday. So our 18 hole resident, non-resident 48, 58. Resident 47, non-resident 59. So we're right in line. It's not, nobody's
Right.
jumping way here. 9 hole 27 and 38. The twilight again, there's 35. And then we get the leagues are at 27 and 30.
Mm.
Comment. Youth During the week, it's 20 and 21, and then the associates are 32 and 45 during the week. 9-hole rates are valid after 3 o'clock. Guest fee discount applies to Groton residents, active retired military personnel, dependents, Town of Groton employees, and then limited season pass holders on weekends before 3 p.m. so they can pay before 3 p.m. And then, of course, they can come and play on their pass after 3 p.m. on the weekends. So there's really no difference, and I think we're fairly competitive. So these are their 2026 rates. They've already published them. They're fairly close to what they were last year. In fact, I think they're pretty much the same. This Norwich special with the $10 food voucher during the week looks like it's on the is it on the non-resident walking? So 59 and then the $10 voucher. Does that include the cart?
It does include the cart. I looked on another area of their website. It does include the cart.
Yeah.
Yep, it includes cart.
Okay. So resident with cart, $72. So you're basically for another $3, you're getting a $10 food voucher.
We should probably wrap this up soon because we're approaching 3 hours.
Yeah, this is our longest meeting of the year. Indeed. All right. So the question is, do we want to increase? So we do have, Counselor Jones, we do have years where we do not increase greens fees rates, or we do increase green fee rates. So the question is, do we want to increase the greens fees this year, or do we want to leave them where they are for another year? We have a couple of other rates to increase. Are there any of these rates that we don't want to increase? Any of these rates that we do want to increase?
So let me ask you this question. On looking at the rates that we were doing with some of the seasonal, if those, and I need to sort of check, and I'll talk to different people about the 5 to 7. If you're sort of stuck inside that shell, if those numbers were reduced down to kind of be inside of that framework, could these numbers match it going up? Could you go up a little here to make up the difference so that you could stay 7% on one side on the residents, but over here you kind of went up 7%, so that you could make it up. Otherwise, I mean, if these look fairly competitive to Norwich, and if that's the main competitor, and with the other places, then there's probably nothing wrong with it. But if we're putting all the burden on the season's pass holders. If you put the burden kind of on everybody and use one to kind of subsidize the other, I mean, one's twice. The greens fees is twice the revenue of the season's pass, so you have that thing that there's a sort of a delta there to work with. You can go
Yep.
down half on one and up full on the other. So you kind of balanced it out. I'm just saying that it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to kind of figure that out and don't go out of the range, but let it kind of go across both areas, and you
Yeah. So if
you
you
might
went
get a
up
bigger
like,
bang on one than you do on the other. So
yeah, so if you went up like 7% here, you'd basically be going to what about be going to
54
about
times 7%
it'd
plus
be about
equal
58,
50. You go to 57, 58.
758. Here you'd be going to
27 times 7% plus equals, you go up to 29.
yep. So basically to 30 here.
Yep. 22 times 7% plus equals
Yep,
is
25,
23, 20, 24.
24-ish.
Yep.
This would
And
go up to about 38, 39.
36 times 7% plus equals. That's 38 and a half, so 39.
Yep.
Something like that.
And then what would you do with the non-resident rate?
You could go up. You could go up 15% if you wanted to. I mean, that might put you out of the
I think it puts you out
Yeah,
of
I think
Yeah.
we
Out
put
of
us
the
out of the
ballpark.
market for this cruise.
right, but and maybe just do 7 across all of them.
Yeah.
Something like that. And that gives
Is
you something to fall back on if you had to adjust. You kind of didn't lose it all because if you're not doing anything on the greens fees, you're basing everything on your season's
Hmm.
pass holders holding. But if you kind of split it, you could lose it on one and not on the other type thing.
Or what if there was like Norwich has less difference between residents and non-residents?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, I'm not, I know that's not a favorable thing, but
That might be okay. I don't know.
Close.
Yeah.
well, I don't know.
What do you mean by less, Madeline?
Well, do we have this? No, maybe we do have the same.
It's
Do we
basically
have
the
the
same,
same fee structure as Norwich as far as residents and non-resident rates?
no,
pretty
we have a
much.
$10 difference in the 18, um, whereas they have $8 difference. And then the biggest differences are resident 9-hole.
Hmm.
It's 27 versus Norwich has the same rate.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
this,
don't.
this
What
is
was the history
35
behind that, Margaret, last year or Mark? I mean, why is there such a big difference between residents and non-residents?
for the 9-hole in particular.
For both, and the weekday is at $11 and no $10, and then weekend is $9. 9-hole weekend is $13. Why is there such a big difference?
the council required it.
Okay,
Was
Raised
it
the
Is
the,
that
rates on
for
Groton
less?
residents, they gave the guy that directive
Oh,
Was it
that
the-
10 to
to
50,
raise,
that,
yeah,
yeah,
to
it was
raise
the it was
between
the 5 to 7 and the
15 to
15 to 17.
17%.
okay,
Okay.
so that came from the council.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
when
right.
we were bound by that increase.
Okay, all right. Well, I wasn't here last year, so that's why I
Yeah.
asked. Because it
So
just
like,
struck me as
yeah,
like, wow, that's a big difference when I got this sheet
Yeah,
last.
no, it was. It was.
Oh, let
I
me
mean,
just.
Well, and
it would be
I don't
interesting
know.
to
I
pull
don't
these
look at it,
numbers a
right?
little bit more in line. The 9-hole's a little bit more in line for sure with each other.
That's a big. I'm looking at the 9-hole. That's a big. Let me see.
It's a big
27
difference.
divided by
$13 difference, yeah.
38.
And the 9-hole league, they get 27.
That's
It's
a
the same, but they dropped it down to 30 for non-residents.
that's a 29%. I'm looking at the 9-hole 27 to 38. That's a 29% difference between those two numbers.
I don't
Yeah.
think you need that.
I don't know where that came from. If our ranges were 15 to 17, it shouldn't have been
Yeah, I
that.
could go back and look at the proposals, but I'm pretty sure that the proposals there were a little bit more in line with each other. When we were asked to raise these up with the 15 to 17%, a little bit higher, and then bring these down a little bit lower.
So, I mean, they're all different. I mean, 27 divided by 30 equals.
It's $3 a hole.
Yeah. I mean,
So
the percentages aren't equal all across the board. They're all different.
in
That's what I
2024,
found. This is kind of confusing.
in 2024, our revenue from 9-hole was 61,000, and 9-hole plus the 9-hole league added up to about 100,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean this 9-hole league, I really think
Hmm.
should come up a little bit. It's been like this for a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Things-
Yeah, that's a significant, I mean, the 27 is what anyone, a resident would pay anyway. They don't get a discount, but the non-residents get a huge discount.
Right.
I don't know.
I do have to leave in about 10 minutes. I have a 9 o'clock call I got to get ready for.
So is Mark still here?
Yeah.
Do you need to have firm numbers on all these pricing for to fit into your schedule, or where are you at? We don't seem to be close to picking numbers here. So how does that
Yeah.
affect you?
I would like to be able to give the Parks and Rec Commission some numbers. For me to try to generalize what we've discussed tonight would be 8 pages of, I need to give them some numbers so that they can look at it and say, unless we feel like, unless the GAB wants to go into the meeting with the Parks and Rec Commission and not really, and have kind of a 40,000-foot view of where they'd like to go, I would really prefer to have some more solid numbers.
What were your expenses? What's the anticipated or the number you need to hit that you were
Well,
last year, and what's the one
yeah.
anticipated?
So actually, the numbers that I gave you earlier tonight were projected revenue.
Yep.
Our operating expenses right now are let's say 1.7 million.
Okay.
But I also just added the two unknowns right now are health insurance, which was 254,000 last year, up from 219 the year before. So I would expect this year's health insurance to be 280. Retirement last year was 100,000, up from 83. So make that 125. So add that to,
So 400,000.
yeah, so add that to the 1678 that we're already at, puts us
So
over 2 million.
2100.
Yeah.
Right. So you
Yeah.
need 1700. 170 divided by 2100 equals. So that's a 20% increase.
Yeah. And right now our projected revenue is 1.9 million. So that would leave us with a shortfall of, and I'm just doing quick math, of 100,000, so that we would need to take out of fund balance about
That's a
100.
shortfall of 200,000.
Okay. So we would have to take out of fund balance $200,000.
170 divided by 190.
And then if you add in the CIP, our $400 fund balance is gone.
Yep.
Just like that.
So you were anticipating you needed 11% revenue growth, and reality is you need 20% revenue growth.
Exactly.
Yeah, and again,
why
Bruce, these are, this whole process is a challenge because two of the biggest, well, outside of, yeah, a couple of the larger expenses under personnel, we don't know as we're trying to put this budget together. So it makes it a real
Yeah, no,
challenge.
I completely understand. I'm just trying to get a sense of the idea and looking at the increase in the rates. You're in the 5 to 7%, or you're in the 15 to 17%, but none of them are in the. I mean, you average those two together, you're not at 11, you're not at 20, you're sort of too low.
Yeah,
Right.
You're too low to do what you're anticipating doing without sort of subsidizing it from fund balance.
right.
And it's not a good position to be in. So,
Yeah.
No.
And without depleting fund balance completely.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, no, I'm just trying to get the sense of how far you have to go to get, just to kind of anticipate breaking even.
Sure, yeah.
No, that's
And,
okay.
hopefully by the time we go to the council, and maybe even by the time we have our joint meeting, in 3 weeks, we'll have that information.
Right, and you'd be a little more accurate.
Yeah,
It's still a pretty big number though. If you have to go to the 20% ish.
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
maybe it's 17% or something, but
right.
Yeah, and just in thinking back to where we were last year as a starting point, and what we got from the um the guy who did the assessment. I mean, we had a pretty big leap target to get to where we needed to go,
Yeah,
right? And that emotional reaction that we got from everybody in that pretty big leap. And so we knew we had to do some stepwise stuff, and whether we could survive 5 to 7% increments to get there or not was going to be the question. And I think we're still we're figuring out we may not be able to do it in 5 to 7% every year. We may have to make some big jumps
Yep.
a couple of times in
Yeah.
order to get there.
I'm just going to toss this out. I think we have to look at, I'm going to put a number, 5% increase for Groton residents and 15 for non, just to start marching along in this, across the board, greens fees and passes.
Mm-hmm.
But at some
I
point,
don't know what that will
Groton
get us.
residents-
And then I also wanted to ask,
But at
how
some point,
many,
Groton residents are going to have to take a hit because you can't do it on the backs of non-residents alone.
no, I understand that, Margaret, but
Because if you lose the non-residents season pass holders, then we lose that revenue. That's the problem because goes to the point that Todd made earlier. We need those non-resident season pass holders.
I agree with you. I agree we do, and it's we're in a bad situation here. The carts, how much we make if we raise the cart rate by $5? I'd look at raising the cart rates. I don't like that, but I think it's money to be taken. And I also think that we have to increase our number of season pass holders and really look at, and I believe the course, and I know I don't like it, but I believe there used to be, 8 minutes between tee times instead of 10, something, we have to get more people on the course. We just can't go into the red on it.
Yeah, cart revenue is 240,000.
So if we raise it, I'm just thinking of maybe we're going to get another 50,000 if we raise the rates on the carts. Possibly.
Carts are low compared to Elmridge and Low
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Norwich.
25 is kind of a standard rate. We undercut that a bit. But I think if we're looking at surviving the course, we have to look at all aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
And not, Mark, to your point, which I came to that conclusion looking at the percentages, not push out our non-residents because they'll go someplace else.
Yeah, so just fiscal year to date, so July 1 to now, we've rented 9,700 cart rentals. If we went up $5, it'd be 48,000. So if we
50,000.
assume, it's 50,000. So if assume that we did 18 or 19,000 cart rentals and went up $5, that'd be another $100,000.
Wow, that's substantial.
It helps.
Yep.
But then Counselor Jones is going to hear from at least one member of the.
Yeah.
But if there's I'm saying is that we need a good argument. I mean, we've
Yes.
made a lot of decisions, tough decisions sometimes with money, and budget because we have to make it. And if there's a good explanation of it, I think the last year there was a sort of a shock. People were just sort of, I had people coming up to me just in kind of shock, but
Well,
but
I
maybe
also
that's not the
think
case this year. So I don't
I
know.
also think that fund balance didn't help. Like they saw the fund balance and they're like, why are you raising all these rates when you have this big fund balance?
All right.
But I don't think it was, yeah, maybe.
Well, we have a lot of expenses. Some of it's rated around the bond rating, trying to keep the good bonds.
Oh, sure.
There's a lot of reasons, there's the state targets. It helps us with a lot of different stuff. So, um, um, and we're trying to, I think last year we tried to keep things at 3%. We're probably somewhere in that range again. So, um,
Again, the golf course is mostly self-funded, so
right.
we've got a slightly different story to tell, and I think we just have to do this year the full story on the golf course.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
are we at a good place with the greens fee raise?
What did they come up?
I
I
wasn't
mean,
doing the greens fee.
Do we want to raise the greens fee rates, or do we want to like maybe raise the 9-hole rates? Bring it back up.
I would probably raise all of them, but it's,
All of them?
yeah. Just be competitive, but I would think, you're gonna have to if you're gonna have these, to have the estimated expenses. So I don't think, I mean, it
Okay.
may get pushed back down, but you just don't have enough money. So
But our greens fees are, other than the 9-hole, we're pretty competitive.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other
I
than the
think it's
I'm,
9-hole ones that we have to worry about.
Yeah, that's the only one that we're not competitive. We're actually same price as Norwich or slightly higher.
No, lower.
9-hole non-resident weekend is $40. They are 35.
Yeah, but it's 35 for the resident, and it's 35 for the resident.
mhm.
No, it's that 27 for the resident.
for us.
For
Yeah, but
us,
for Norwich, it's 35.
for Norwich is 35. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Other than the 9-hole resident rate, rest of it we are competitive or above.
Right.
So if there's
So,
a change, that's
So
the
you
only.
could come to 29, you could come to 28.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret, do we do we want to set some percentages as kind of what we can suggest to the Parks and Rec Commission? Say that the Golf Advisory Board is looking at a blank to blank increase in greens fees and a blank to blank increase for season pass holders.
Yeah, I think we come in with the last year's council recommendation, the 5 to 7%, 15 to 17%. No, I think on the greens fees, we stick with 5 to 7% across the board. I think there's no way we can go up 15 to 17%.
Okay.
No, I can't imagine taking this to $75,
Okay.
right?
So
The non
five,
the non-resident weekend greens fee
so 5 to 7% for residents.
and non-resident.
Oh, and non-resident.
Yeah, if we were to come in and I don't know if Todd's still here, but take the non-resident greens fee for 18 holes on a weekend
I'm
to
still
7.
here.
Okay. For greens fees. And then what are we what are we thinking for um, season pass holders? Same thing or
I can show you what I put together based on our previous discussion?
think we come with two options. I think we come with the what Usha's going to show us, and then we come with the 5 to 7 and 15 to 17, and just show them what it's going to look like.
So these are the new numbers, but you can see this is a pretty big jump. And so is this.
What did that go? That was
They're going to want to see it in percentages. Unfortunately, they talk in percentages, but yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you need the discount, the percent discount relative column as opposed to what the percent increase is. I mean,
The amount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that.
I
Yeah.
don't think you need to know. I mean,
This
that's
is
just-
more, for knowing how we calculated it, but we can
Right.
talk about percent increase.
I think the percent increase is an easier number to, because this is like so weird, and you're like, how did you come up with these numbers? And
Yeah.
as opposed to
Discount. Yeah.
discount
Yeah.
numbers just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I know it makes sense because you figured somewhere there's a history of this, but
Yeah.
to me, it's just show the increase and don't.
Increase,
This
yeah.
just goes, wow, that's 20, because you're not even going to read. What happens, I think, is you don't read the title. You just read inside and you go, oh, this is 20%. This is, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can add that column. That's no problem.
Okay, so this would be, so option one would be whatever these percentages are. Option two is keeping with the,
guidelines,
Council guideline.
council guidelines.
Yeah, and Usha, maybe we can just hop on I don't think it'll take very long. Just hop on a Zoom for
Yeah.
half an hour, just knock off two Excel sheets and be done with it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Can we
If
do
you
that
could-
tomorrow? Because I do have a 9
I
o'clock
think
call.
I can. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I can.
yeah. If you could share that with me when you're all done.
Yeah, I will, Mark. I'll
and
send
I
you an
think-
Excel sheet so you have it.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I think to Councilor Jones' point, the relative discount, I think, is hard to explain and just it's too many numbers.
Right.
Yep, no problem. We'll switch
Yeah.
it to the percent increase from relative to 2025.
Yep. So
Okay.
we'll come with the two options, option one and option two.
Yep.
The greens
Okay.
fees. And then Todd, you wanted to do something with the tournament rate?
I'd be in favor of lowering it. We lost 3 tournaments, which was substantial money last year. And so, yes, if we consider any kind of daily fee rate changes, I would recommend that change. Maybe down
But I'm
to
curious,
like from 65 to 60.
You said that we lost 3 tournaments, and that was about 20. What'd you say? $22,000.
Yeah, 22,
Okay.
23, yeah.
All right. So the void filled by those with that all that open play available and the golf course being packed all the time. What was the revenue generated in those 3 time slots when the tournaments weren't there?
Well, typically a tournament will generate around $75 to $8,000. A daily fee day without a tournament will generate around $5,500. So when we have a tournament, it's substantial. And we
So
did
the-
lose tournaments.
Right, 3 tournaments.
But I mean, I don't have a number. I don't have a number off the top of my head, but I can figure something out and then email you, and you can share with the group.
Okay.
Well, that's $2,000 a day, so that's 6,000.
6,000. Yeah, it's
Math.
pretty simple math. Yeah.
Oh, mm. What is the price of tournaments? Well, how much? What's the percentage we went up?
We went down.
No, The price
No,
of
no, no.
tournaments,
Oh,
you
no.
said we went up?
The increase. We went up
The line.
substantially. We were like at 50 or just a little north of that, and then we went up to 65 on the greens fee.
Okay.
So we went up substantially, and there were groups that
Three group.
that what's that?
We went
There's
up
three
$10.
groups.
3 groups.
There were 3 groups that came in, but the other groups were surprised at the substantial increase.
Well, we went
So
up
Anyway,
the tournament rate in 24 was $70. The tournament rate in 25 was 85. That's Friday through Sunday and holiday.
yeah,
$15.
Yeah. And weekdays,
Right.
Monday through Thursday, it went from 65 to 75.
70.
Oh,
At least that's the published rate.
okay.
Anyway, so if this group decides to do anything with the daily fee, we might want to knock it down $5 on the tournament fee. Just saying.
Or flat fund it. You know, if we're looking at raising rates everywhere, don't raise rates there, right? Flat fund that. Maybe don't decrease, but don't increase that. Since we're increasing
that,
everywhere else.
But
Just a
no,
thought.
but we should not increase that. We should
Right.
not.
We won't
Right.
increase it.
Yeah.
We'll leave it right where it is.
Todd, you said a lot of groups signed up on February 1st. How many groups approached you over the weekend about tournaments?
Well, I probably took in maybe 5 or 6 phone calls, but being that we're requiring the groups to come in and fill out the app, I've had 2 directors come in and fill out an app, but I've had half a dozen calls, and we told them, you got to come in. And also, we informed them that we do not know, and it's also indicated on the application that we do not know what the 2026 rates are.
So I do need to log off. I'll send you, Mark, I'll send you a table with the changes that I did today, and then the blanket 5% increase for residents, and then a blanket 15% increase for non-residents. I'll put both of those as option 1 and option 2, and I'll send that to you. And Margaret, you and I can connect tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Sorry you have
Thank
to
you,
drop off.
Sha.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Lisa.
so much for all the work you've done.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
thank you. Yeah, it's terrific.
Thank you.
Lucia,
Bye-bye.
that was awesome. Thank you for the chart.
Oh, you're
Thank you.
welcome. Bye.
Mark, what you should do is once she gives you those numbers, is just put them against your, just figure out what the revenue is based on both of those. Yeah. Just to see where you come. How close are you? Right. Yeah, I can proportion out the number of, kind of divide up all the season pass holders, and if 20% are adult resident, just apply the, yeah. It'll take a little bit of math, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I would do
I
it
can
on
do-
the
on the greens fees too, do the five,
Yeah,
do the same, whatever we kind of just talked about, do it just so you kind of go, if it's not in the ballpark, then you need to relook at them. If it's in the ballpark, then you're like, okay, but
right.
you need to
Yeah,
know where you're falling based on anticipated
Should
increases.
we
right.
talk about meeting again before the Park and Rec when we have, so we have a vote on our decision, or do you want to have more conversation in front of Park and Rec? As much as I
That's,
don't like,
yeah, that's,
you know,
that's up to the, that's up to the GAB.
meetings, I think it might
We
be
can
more.
arrange a special meeting. It could potentially save some time on the night of the 25th.
Mhm.
Um, but that's up to the Golf Advisory Board.
When's the Park and Rec meeting?
25th of February.
February.
Yeah.
And that meets at 5:30.
I think it's at six
Uh,
thirty.
yeah, no, that's a special meeting because we're meeting with the GAB, and that normally the Parks and Rec Commission meetings start at 5. We're starting at 5:30 that night because there's some members of the GAB that can't attend or aren't available prior to 5:30.
Got it.
So February 25th at 5:30.
Yes.
The Parks and Rec. So then the question is the 23rd, would that be a possibility?
Monday, right?
16th is a holiday.
Mhm.
I'm traveling on business the 9th.
Works for
Have my
me.
calendar.
Works for me.
You need at least 3 of the voting members, correct?
Or
Yeah,
would you be?
I think we still have a quorum.
Yep.
And hopefully 4 of us.
Yeah.
So it's the 25th.
And then the Parks and Rec joint session would be the 25th.
Now, the goal of the meeting on the 23rd is to solidify numbers.
Yes,
Mhm.
solidify the numbers and the policy decisions around I think, even though I think we agree on the 400, but just make sure we're good with the 400. And I think tournament rates, we'll talk about that. And then just the last thing is because the afternoon start times for the limited folks, and then the booking times, we'll just agree on those.
I'm sorry, Margaret, I didn't hear what you said. I'm just going to minutes. The last item.
The book, I guess whether there should be an advantage for season pass holders in terms of making greens fee.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Advance, 24 hours advance.
Or whatever, yeah.
And also that 3 o'clock
Yeah, whether that should come
start
up to
time
2
or
or 1 o'clock.
looking at that.
Yeah, if we go up to 400, it may only need to come up to 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock.
Is the 25th meeting a virtual meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Will you send us that link, or do we have to get that off the website, or?
No, Lisa Hilton will send it to
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And you'll also get, if the motion passes to have a meeting on the 23rd, you'd also get a link for that meeting.
And that would be at 5:30 p.m. on the 23rd.
Again, that's up to the GAB.
Yep,
Right.
I'm about
Yeah,
to
I
make
mean,
a
I would,
motion.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'd like to make a motion to hold a special meeting on the 23rd of February
I'll
to
second that.
review the proposed 2026 rates and associated policies. for season pass holders, greens fees.
I can second that, Margaret. I do just want to let everybody know I will be on vacation from the 18th until the 24th. I may be able to attend, but right now I'm in the process of scheduling, so I can't commit for certain. I just want to make sure that we don't need like a quorum in order to make that decision happen.
Okay.
Assuming USA could make the meeting, that would still give us a quorum.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, and if it's one of those, I could be in touch with with Margaret, and while I'm out there, um, if I need to come in for 30, 40 minutes, I can find a way to make that work. So.
Yeah.
Perfect. There's a second. So all those in favor, we'll schedule the meeting.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? All right, we'll schedule a meeting if that's okay for February 23rd.
Okay.
Perfect. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Shall I motion to adjourn?
Yes, please.
Please.
You're almost done, I promise.
Good night. Good night.
Second. I
Yeah.
second.
Adjourned at 7.
Okay. Good night, all.
All
All
right.
right.
Good
Good
night.
night,
Good
everybody.
job,
Take care.
guys. Yeah, good work.